Hello, everyone, and welcome on this beautiful, what is today? It's a Tuesday out here in California. How about on the East Coast? Lisa, is it Tuesday there still as well? Welcome, everyone. As you're jumping in, we're so happy that you're here with us today. Whether you are a friend from our community that already knows about us, or maybe you're a new friend that was invited by someone. We believe you are here for a reason. As you're coming in, let us know where you zooming in from. What brought you here today? I would love to know in the chat what brought you here today. We have many note takers. Hopefully we'll have some live people too. Has anyone been in meetings lately and you're like, there's more note takers than there are actual live people right now? It's kind of a bizarre thing. I picture myself back in my corporate executive days and just a room full of computers instead of like live bodies, right? So I want to just welcome you, friends. My name is Lisa Williams. I have highlighted here on my screen, I've pinned to the screen some of my fabulous partners in crime, Miss Donna Siskett, Lisa Haley, Deanna Keller. We actually have other partners that are not with us right now. They're off serving people in different ways. But I just want to personally say thank you, thank you, thank you, ladies, for being my right arm, my left arm, my heart, my spirit. I am so blessed to have you as friends and business partners. And I believe one of the greatest gifts that I was blessed with when I was born was a mother that loved Jesus. Yes, we do love Jesus here. If any of you are curious about this area of the world, here in the Zoom room of Lisa Williams Co., we love Jesus. In fact, we actually love pocket Jesus as well. Has anyone had a pocket Jesus in their life? I know many of you I've given them to. And if you don't have a pocket Jesus, this reminds me that he cares about the small things just as much as the big things. And if you would like one, put your address in the chat and we'll make sure and get you one as well. Why are we here today, friends? Let me tell you a little bit about what to expect, okay? First of all, many of you are here because you have personally been wondering, you know what? I have some major goals, financial goals this year, and I am just not really sure if my current path is going to enable me to meet those goals. Okay. It's kind of like going to a gym and signing up for a membership and wondering, is that same treadmill that everybody else is doing, is that same list of, repeated reps that I'm supposed to do, is that going to work for me like it is for this person over here, right? Now, in this case, I want you to think about our community as two things. One, it is a spiritual community pursuing God's kingdom in our lives. We are bringing the kingdom to the marketplace. I have many amazing mentors that I've been blessed with that have poured into me around this concept, and we are doing the same for our community. And number two, we believe that 90% of people should be employees. We know that the entrepreneurial journey is not for the faint of heart. We also believe in this great country that we live in. Unfortunately, it's become very difficult to make it with one income. So even if you're an employee, friends, I just want to encourage you to consider, are you meant to create multiple income streams in your life? We believe you are. Okay. So friends, a little bit about what to expect today. First of all, we are going to be here for 3 hours. Let's get our stamina, our persistent hats on. Okay. I promise you this is going to be fun. I personally love to encourage, praise, and recognize people. So we do a lot of that here. I personally love to have fun. There will be some jokes. There's going to be some laughter. There's going to maybe be some thoughtful tears, perhaps. I've been known to cry in these conversations, as my friends know. We're going to have some incredible speakers. In fact, the first speaker that we're going to have is one of my mentors that I first was blessed with an interview with when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. His name is Dr. Greg Reid. He's part of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. He's written more books on the planet in the world of self-development and self-improvement than anyone I personally know. He's a personal friend of mine, and he's going to be sharing some of his genius with us. It's not too late, friends. If you have people that you would like to come and join us, it's not too late to invite them, or at least let them know once you're completed today what you learned, and invite them to catch the replay. A little bit of housekeeping. If you are here and are able to turn your camera on, we know that one thing that we are entirely 100% responsible for and have control over is how we show up somewhere. And so I just encourage you, if you're not naked, if you are able to turn your cameras on, friends, put your camera on, show us your beautiful smile, and let us know who you are, what you're about, why are you here? And with that, I'm actually going to start with a quick little dialogue with you. And I'm going to invite you all to be a little vulnerable. And if you're brave enough, I would actually really love for you to share your thoughts about this. So I have some questions that I'd like to ask you, friends. Okay. The first question I have is, the difference I am making in the lives of others is, and I want you to just pause just take a moment. Hopefully you have a notepad handy, and I want to invite you to write down, what are you doing right now? Whose lives are you making a difference in? And for those of you that are willing and able and interested and brave, I would love for you to raise your hand and share that with us. And I'm going to pick on you if you don't raise your hand. So make sure. In fact, I'm going to ask Lisa to unmute herself and share with us whose lives are you making a difference in right now?
So yeah, I get to serve my clients, and I try to do that with joy, trying to help them set themselves up with decisions that they are making about their finances. And so, yeah, I am serving my community with the gifts and talents that are in my hands. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Friends, I have another question for you. And if you're not feeling brave enough to say it out loud, I want you to put it in the chat. The next question is, what I would love my income to look like is. What would we love our income to look like? I know a lot of you on this call already, and I know that for Donis, for example, I know Donis has a dream to buy a beautiful little beachside cottage overlooking the ocean. Her and Larry will travel the world together, continue to travel where Larry entertains. Donis and Larry have been traveling entertainers for 20 years and found themselves completely out of income all of a sudden when COVID hit, right? And she made a massive pivot and now knows more about how money works than most financial advisors basically on the planet, right? This woman is a fabulous example of perseverance and the queen of reinvention. What does Berta say? Berta, 20K plus a month. I love that, Berta. Usually there's a figure in someone's mind, right? The most common thing that when I sit down with my financial clients, the most common income goal that I see is 100K. I want to make 100K. For some reason, I don't know. Has anyone ever heard that? I know many of my partners, 36K a month. I love that, Dana. I want you to just first of all know, friends, what I believe, and know, actually, I know it from the bottom of my heart, is that you, my friends, are God's masterpiece. I do not believe that there is anything that is planted in your heart and mind that isn't possible and won't be given the tools and the abilities to make it happen if you make choices to do it. I personally believe that the dreams that are planted in your heart, some of you, perhaps the dream machine's been turned off for a while. I don't know. I personally went through a period in my life where the dream machine was turned off for a while. But I believe that God can use everything in your life that you're going through right now for his greater good. And that means your greater good because you are his very best idea, right? So in the chat, friends, I'd love to know, what brought you here today? Um, Personally, I have a dream to empower, equip, and inspire 1 million women to hire themselves. I have a mission to create a tribe of 7-figure givers. It's a mighty mission that God planted in my heart a couple of years ago. Friends, are you here? And please put in the chat, are you here because a friend invited you? They drug you here? Maybe that's the reason. Are you here because you're looking to create more wealth in your life? Maybe more freedom, more time freedom? I personally do what I do because I love to travel. Does anyone want to travel more in their life? Maybe spend some time with their friends or their family on holiday more often. I have one of the biggest dreams I have is to help actually take my whole family on a trip around the world. That is going to happen someday. And who knows who all will be there. I might have grandbabies by then. Who knows? But I know it's going to happen. Whatever reason you're here for us with us today, I want to just let you know you're in the right place, and I'm excited to, help you create wealth and abundance in your life. I want to share one of my dreams that I have is to give more generously. This is my sweet Sierra. She's 16. She actually just left on a trip this morning at 4:30 in the morning to go look at colleges. Okay, she's on a college road trip with a school group, and Sierra has no idea what she wants to do in her lifetime. Did anyone have that recollection of the time when they were going off to school and their parents were trying to ask them, like, what are you going to do when you get there? Right? What's your plan? Have you ever considered how ludicrous it is that we're asking these 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids what they want to do with their lives, right? I remember my dad telling me, honey, just take some classes that you enjoy and you can figure it out as you go, right? And I ended up taking a psychology class and ended up loving it, right? And I actually really loved what I did for many, many years. But I want you to consider, do you love what you do right now? Raise your hands for those of you that love what you do right now. Kind of like some of us, I'm going to raise 2 hands because I absolutely love what I do. I know some of us maybe are in that transition phase. Maybe you found your field of favor. You're not exactly sure what it looks like, or maybe the income hasn't caught up to your passion and your desire yet. What I want to encourage you to consider is that you're not supposed to have it all figured out, straight away, right? But there is that burning desire to do something different. If that's there in your heart, follow those promptings, friends. I have a desire to give more generously. Sierra and I went on a mission trip a couple of weeks ago. This was a picture of when we first started. When we first got there was this slab of concrete basically when we first got there. And literally by the end of the 48 hours, there was a home built for them. And that is my desire. I want to help women generate more in their lives so they can be generous. That is a burning desire in my heart. What experiences, my friends, do you want to bless your next generation with? Raise of hands for those of you that have children on this call, or maybe grandchildren, or little people that you would like to bless, right? The next generation. Um, I'm curious, for you guys, Have you ever considered how little they teach about how money works in school? How little they teach about entrepreneurship and the ability to create wealth differently than the rest of the world, right? I want you to think about maybe like a past, Sunday we were all watching the Super Bowl. I don't know about you. I actually wasn't watching the Super Bowl. I was watching the commercials. My husband had it on, and I was working on some things on my computer, helping Sierra get ready for this trip that she's going on. And I want you to think about 12 months from now, there's going to be another Super Bowl, right? Who knows who the teams are? I felt really bad actually for Mahomes, how badly it started. He did find some redemption towards the end. He got on the board, but I felt really bad for him. But I was thinking about how many people are cheering these people on, right? They're wearing jerseys. In fact, my husband had a jersey on with Mahomes on the back. Okay. Anyone else have jersey clad men or women around their home? Now, have you ever considered? I have one of my boyfriends. I'm allowed lots of boyfriends in my life because my husband and I have a list, right? One of my boyfriends is the most celebrated inspirational speaker on the planet. His name is Ed Milet. I tease. He's not really my boyfriend, although I have met him and spent some time with him. But he has this funny story he tells about that when you think about sports, really what people are rooting for is a jersey. They're no longer really rooting for the team, right? Because when they wear these jerseys, they might be playing. I know Mahomes, he was playing for he's played for like two or three teams, right? So you're really not even rooting for the team, right? You're rooting for a jersey. And I imagine the shift, what it would look like if families started rooting for their team, right? They had their family name on the back of the jersey, and that is who they were doing everything for. What unfortunately I feel like has happened in our world is we've all stepped into this system of corporate America, whatever that looks like for each of us, and we've fallen in line, right? Did anyone ever hear that American dream story when you maybe had young children and you were sitting down with your kids and you were telling them a bedtime story? And this story that you told them was about, honey, someday you're gonna go to school probably for, 18 years, 18 to 20 years. And you're then going to graduate and you're going to get a job that you might be at for 20, 30, 40 years. Now you might have different jobs along the way, but you'll be there for 20 or 30, 40 years. Now, you may or may not like the people you work with. You may or may not like the people you work for, but you will be there every single day for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Now, you also may not be paid very much. You might not be able to quite cover the bills. You might have some time where you're in debt. Now, the good news is you're definitely going to get to a place where you're probably not going to be able to work any longer. Now, the hope is that you would have saved enough that now your money can take over and your body can rest. So, friends, let me ask you, how many kids, exactly, Berta, how many kids would say, Mama, can you please tell that one story again that you told me, right? And have you ever just considered how, in some ways, you're right, Berta, the American dream has sort of turned into the American nightmare in some ways? So, friends, this is just an example of one of the reasons we're so passionate about entrepreneurship. And what we're going to be sharing with you today is some really powerful tools that you can use in your own life to actually create some multiple income streams in your life. I went from being a highly paid corporate executive, I worked many years in a role that I absolutely loved. I was very, very blessed. I literally sat down with friends that were clients of mine over and over and over again, and I helped them find jobs. I was a headhunter. I was a senior partner at a very prestigious, one of the largest recruiting firms in the nation. And I made very, very good money. I was creating multiple six figures in my life for decades, and I loved it. And then I started to wonder, is God calling me for more? Has anyone ever kind of gone into work and said, I can't remember the last time I learned something new? I feel like I'm in the wrong room. I feel like everyone around me is doing the same things, and I'm not really excited about what I'm doing. Now, I was stuck in also the tax bracket of doom. Because I was well paid, I was paying the highest taxes on the planet. So, whatever your reason is that you're thinking about adding something to your life, in terms of income, friends. Maybe it's like me. You were a little bored. You were looking for something new. Maybe God was calling you into a new chapter. Perhaps you just simply need to make more money. Because I will tell you, in the years of sitting down with families, years and years, I've sat down with so many families talking about how they build their own economy in their lives. What their salary is that they're bringing. Is it enough? Is there more month at the end of the money, for example? For a lot of people, there is. I found that the number one problem that most families have in achieving financial freedom is they just never make enough money. Period. The end. It doesn't matter where you are. I was working with some of the highest paid people in the world in the financial services and technology industry. And these families were still living paycheck to paycheck. So, friends, one of the things that we're going to talk a lot about today is that ability to leverage the systems and abilities and skills of other people to actually create our own family economy. I want you to think about and embrace the idea that this time next year can look different in your own family economy. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine. This woman, her name is Sue, and she is my mother. And I want to just, many of you know my mom, but I want to give you just some highlights of why I talk about my mom. First of all, she was the person that taught me that you are much better together. When women lock arms together, when women leverage one another's skills, their talents, their abilities, we go so much farther in life than others, right? I want you to think about a time in the past, a February or Super Bowl in the past. Who were you with? How did you feel? What goals did you create for yourselves? Oh, there's Mr. Greg Reid. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm amazingly great. Keep going.
Okay, I will. But friends, what financial goals, what physical goals did you have? What spiritual goals did you have? And imagine, I want to invite you, friends. Last year in 2024, through affiliate partnerships, I added an additional six-figure income to my life. And you want to know what? I quadrupled my business. And one of the reasons that I believe that I was successful in doing that, it's the first time in my life that I truly partnered with the Holy Spirit within me. And there is something miraculous that happened. Because what's crazy about when you partner with whatever your higher power is, right? I believe my guiding light I've already shared with you is Pocket Jesus. I believe in Jesus. He is my Lord and Savior. Whatever your guiding light is, maybe you have a different belief system. I hope and pray that you believe in something, that there is a greater power that has a good plan for your life. And it is a plan of abundance. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't face challenging times. In fact, my friend Greg, that we're going to speak with in a minute, has just had the year of his life. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And yet, also, I know that every challenging time that we go through can be used for our greater good. I know that there's a good plan for you. And my mom was a great example of someone that she knew what she wanted to do since she was 9 years old. She read this book, Nurse Nancy, when she was 9, and she said, "That is what I get to do." And this woman, she impacted so many lives. I don't remember a time that I didn't wake up in the wee hours of darkness in Alaska. And she would so often be in a corner sitting with a lamp on, a fire blazing, and a Bible in her lap. There was so much wisdom that she passed on to me. And one of the things that I love most about my friend Greg, that we're going to hear from next, is the power of collaboration, the power of actually knowing what you're good at, but then also knowing a lot of people that are good at things that you're not good at, right? And Greg, I'm going to bring you to the stage for a minute. And I actually am going to start by sharing something that you and I don't even know if you remember this, but you were literally one of my first interviews when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. I know you don't remember this, but I remember so vividly. It was about 5 years ago, and COVID had just hit. Can you believe COVID hit 5 years ago? How crazy is that, right? And I was doing this interview series called Corporate to Entrepreneur. And I invited you to be on the series, and you came in, and we had a great conversation. And as soon as we were done, you were gone. And I was like, I didn't even get to say thank you. I didn't even get, but you know what happened, Greg, in that interview? He told me, you know what? Let's make sure we stay in contact. And I did. And I got invited to one of your amazing events, Secret Knock. And you are now one of my friends. And I love that so much.
We're family. And you know what's interesting? I was listening to you talk about the 6-figure adding to supplemental income. And it was so cool because I remember when you hit that and you called me up and you were talking about how you're doing, and you still didn't think it was as good as you could be doing. And it's so interesting how we're always pushing ourselves to be the ultimate highest form of ourselves. And the way that we do that is also what you're talking about is affiliation, not just product, good, and service, but the people we connect with. Because we could be one quality connection away from everything unveiling itself of the true potential of what life can be. And it's pretty cool. You always look for that. So it's kind of like Easter egg hunting for you all day long.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So we're gonna have some fun today with Greg. We're gonna learn a lot, but I wanna share something first that was one of the reasons I fell in love with Greg. Okay. And I'm gonna share my screen, and I need to share the sound. Tell me, Donis, if you see this. You see this?
Oh, there's my kid.
Okay. Oh.
Don't forget this table over here. Take candles down over there. Good job, bro. Let's go, Rocky. Oh, we're gonna show how it's done.
So my kid dancing is the thing that inspired you?
It is the dad that you are, Greg. It is the dad that you are in Colt's life. I mean, it's one of the things that when I first met you, I had no clue who you were, by the way, which it's really shame on me because he's one of the most famous, inspirational, motivational speakers on the planet, But it's the dad that you are, Greg.
I appreciate
It's the dad that you continue to be, and you give me inspiration. Mini Reid closing deals. I love that.
So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Greg. I'm here in San Diego, California. And, I've been published in 156 books and 45 languages, all that good stuff. But when she's talking about this thing about parenting, I always have that student's mindset. And I remember I was doing a podcast about a year ago. And you ever have one of those aha moments, epiphany, where you have a paradigm shift? And the gal said to me, she says, do you pay your son money to do things he does not like to do around the house, like mow the lawn, take out the trash, make his bed? And I said, absolutely. I'm going to teach my son the power and respect of money. And she goes, that's a shame. I expected more from you. You're ruining your child forever. And student's mindset, I said, teach me. And she goes, think about it. You're training your child from the earliest thought, the earliest memory. The only way to get paid money is to do something they don't like. So I had that little aha moment where I sat my son Colt down and says, hey, listen, man. I said, you make all these TikTok videos and Instagram reels. And I go, I got a pretty big following. I go, from now on, I'm going to pay your allowance for doing what you excel at. And how about you make the bed and you take out the trash? We'll call it contribution for living in the estate and the lifestyle that you do. But it changed our conversation. So now when he wants the new Jordans, he comes up and say, hey, Dad, how many TikToks do you need for the new kicks? And now he's teaching other kids in his community to do the same, to work our strengths and then to hire and to associate with our weaknesses. And sometimes that can come back to bite you. After COVID, you mentioned that one. We had our first party. And I'll never forget this one. We had first party and I said, go upstairs and let's clean everything up. I go, make your bed, shove everything in the closet, what you got to do around a lot of people coming by. About 20 minutes later, his best friend comes down and he has a wad full of cash and he gives it to his father and says, hey, Dad, put this in the bank for me. I go, where'd you get that? He goes, your son Colt paid me all that money. And I went, what? I go, Colt, come down here. I go, what did he pay you to do? And he goes, well, he paid me to make his bed and to put it in my closet. And I said, Colt, why did you do that? And he says, Dad, you taught me work your strengths and hire your weaknesses. I had other stuff to do. So sometimes you got to be careful.
Sometimes it backfires.
Well, it all comes. Hey, he's learning, right? That's like part of the process. But it's also having that student's mindset where you're open and learning and always growing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and one of the things that when I first met you, I remember you saying we're changed most by the books we read and the people that we meet. And you and Colt and Lynn had a very traumatic experience this fall. And I don't know how much you even want to talk about it, but
I'll share with everyone. So she's
Okay.
too is in August of last year, my son was in a major accident. So basically, he was riding his motorcycle on this street in this bike lane, going the speed limit, fully geared up, light on, and a car pulled out in front of him, and he collided. He had the most traumatic brain injury that a human being can have. There's nothing higher. It's the highest form that you can go. And they said he'd be in a coma for 6 months and maybe speak another word after 2 years. And my son is a very prolific, famous kid. And it was really heartbreaking, to say the least, to see your kid go from the state to, that whatever. Well, 60 days later, through the grace of God and modern technology and medicine, my son walked out of the hospital shaking all the doctors' hands. And he is the only person known to man to have ever recovered from what he has at his age. So much so that at Secret Knock in a couple weeks, the president and CEO of Children's Hospital from Beverly Hills is coming down to meet with him to see if we can duplicate it and help other kids. How cool is that?
Wow, I love that. I can't wait. Greg runs there he is. Greg runs one of the most secret and prolific masterminds on the planet called the Secret Knock. And I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast.
And
what I was gonna say though is that part of this, and everyone will understand that has kids or grandkids, is that the power of what you'll do to help other people become their very best is monumental. And one of the biggest lessons that my son taught me and my former wife, Lynn, and by the way, I got the greatest ex-wife in the world. She's amazing. And what I learned about this whole process is that if we would put our same attention towards ourselves, because we're always taking care of everyone else around us, and we're always making sure everyone's happy and satisfied, And I think for this year, it's time to get selfish a little bit and start drawing an imaginary line in the sand and saying it's my turn. I love you, family. I love you, friends. I've been taking care of you, but I guess I'm taking care of myself. And more importantly, give ourselves the permission to self-care so that we can become the greatest form of ourselves so we can help even more people.
Absolutely. And I had, kind of a front row seat when you guys were going through this with Colt. And I saw how many, first of all, the first thing I remember was being part of this massive group of prayer, just all across the world, praying for this boy and you. And also, let's talk about the theme of this workshop today is reimagining the American dream, right? And really teaching a lot about the power of leverage, the power of leverage, of relationships, of systems, businesses that other people have built. And let's talk about how much that word leverage really was instrumental in the ability for Colt to heal because of how many rallied right together.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's interesting about that is I felt like we were in training our whole lives for this because we are inviting people for, 20 years into our circle to these live events and to speak and writing books on this stuff. And then when we needed it, all those same people that I was coincidentally interviewing around peptides and, all the modern technologies and whatnot actually came to fruition where they helped as a collective to help our son in the biggest way. But we also did stuff that was unheard of that's never been done. And I'll make sure with you guys one quick one of those, and then I want to talk some business stuff. Is, sometimes everything we need is already within our sphere of influence, but we don't see it. And so what happened is that I realized that my number one thing out there on the internet was my AI clone. So if you go, I'll give you guys a phone number. You can go talk to my clone all day. It's just like talking to me, except you're talking to my clone. You can ask anything you want. And when my kid was in his comatose state, I went and took every one of his audition tapes and all of his podcasts, and I uploaded it and made his own AI clone. And then I trained the AI clone to speak to himself while he's in a coma and talk to himself through it. And it's never been done in the history of mankind. So what happened is in his own voice would say, Colt, here's what's going on. You're having a tough time. You were hit by a car. Here's what's happening to your brain. We need you to refire. Come back to us this way. And by doing that, it guided him in his own voice through this traumatic experience where the doctors and everyone would come out of the hospital going, how do we get this for other people? Isn't that cool?
It's insane. I remember you telling me about this. And so imagine now, this is the example that you were saying is now how can this be replicated for
Yeah. And then how can I do it for other
people?
people? And same thing
Yeah.
in business. So let's talk about that. We're going to switch hats.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times, people aren't seeing the idea, the power of cooperation and collaboration. You hear the cliche all the time, but what does it look like? I'll give you an example. If you owned a liquor store in a little strip mall, and then there was a pizza parlor in that mall, you guys might be fighting over parking spaces, constant at each other's throat. When you're a jet, right? You're fighting each other. And then all of a sudden, somebody will say, hey, what's an opportunity here? And you might go to the liquor store owner and say, hey, tell you what I'm going to do. Every time someone comes in here and they buy a keg of beer, do me a favor, give them a gift certificate for 2-for-1 pizza as a gift on you. And I'll tell you what, every time they come over here for my pizza, I'll give them a gift certificate for a discount on their keg of beer. And now all of a sudden you want people here because you're collaborating and working with one another. How many times has someone had an idea for a clothing line, like a cool logo, but their friend might have a print press for their, little league soccer team in their garage that's just sitting there, and another guy makes websites. Well, all three of you together, you can form the triad and begin a brand new marketing company. And there's so many of these opportunities. And like I said, sometimes we're just not seeing it, or something stops us from reaching out. For example, Brian Tracy, the greatest sales trainer of all times, he says, it's never a no, it's just the next. Never give up until you knock on the door next door. And what that means is, as marketers, We have got to have the courage and the fortitude to keep knocking. I met with a multi-billionaire. His name is Paul J. Meyer before he passed away. And he said, your success is in direct proportion to your ability to withstand a no. I said, what do you mean? He says, if you're willing to ask enough ladies out, eventually you'll get a date for the dance. He goes, but unfortunately, most people quit after the first no or the second no. And as entrepreneurs, statistically, we need 26 at bats before we hit our home run. 26. But so many people start with one little thing and it doesn't go good and they give up, or they try another, or they try another, or they try another. But at the end of the day, you need to give yourself the courage to have 26 at bats before you know if you made it or not. And the secret of success is the power of stickability. First, there's a dream, and then there's challenge, and then comes victory. Unfortunately, majority of people quit in the challenging times. And the secret is to look for and capitalize on unexpected opportunity. Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A, said the greatest thing. He goes, if I'm on my sofa and I want to get to the end of the street, I have to have stickability that I'm going to make that way, but I'm not going to quit until I get there, but I'm going to look for unexpected opportunity. I said, like what? He says, well, planners, they overplan. They think too much. So they're going to step on the crack, don't break your mother's back. A sprinkler comes on and they overthink and they run back home. He goes, I'm looking for opportunity. Did a kid leave a skateboard or a bicycle out I could borrow to make my journey short? If I get lucky, I'll wave down the neighbor. I'll hitch a ride to the end of the street. He says, either way, I'll get to my goal. I'm just not so caught up in exactly how it has to transpire. And as entrepreneurs, we have to keep those spidey senses out there, because what if everything we're looking for is also looking for us in return?
I love that so much. Greg, you have this way about you. One of the first trainings that the masterminds I went to was prosperity camp at your house.
Yeah.
And you talked about having a repertoire of stories, like a playlist, a song list.
Yeah.
And I love this I love this part of how you teach about sharing. I know personally it's helped me in learning more about how first I even want to serve by using some of my stories. Can you share a little bit about that, about this playlist, and why is it important? Like, why is it good for us to have?
Well, it's interesting. If you're a musician and you're a famous band like Rolling Stones, what they do is before they go out, they always have there's the same opener, and they have their big closer. And in the middle, they do a thing called the set list. They play, the songs they want to do, and they put a piece of paper down, and they just go down that board, and that's what the band knows what to play. Well, it's the same thing in public speaking. So what happens is that I believe in little songs. I never work on a 30-minute presentation or a 90-minute talk. I work on a 2-minute song. There's a beginning, a middle, a little hook melody, and an end. Just kind of like what I just shared with you guys. So the whole idea is I don't worry about mastering one simple topic. I worry like little sound bites. And that way, anytime someone puts a microphone in my face, no matter what topic they mention, I've got a song that I could spin where it looks like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm actually very well rehearsed. I'll give you an example. Right now, and by the way, obviously no rehearsal of this one. Give me one topic, anything you got, Lisa. Any topic comes top of your head. Watch how I'll spin this thing. Go.
Bitcoin.
It's funny. It's said that we are a reflection of the people we hang around the most, and our income, our attitude, and lifestyle is the average of the group. If you hang around amazing people, amazing things come to be. And one person I remember interviewing is a big fan of this little fake money things called Bitcoin. His name's Steve Wozniak. He started Apple Computer with Steve Jobs. And I said, how is it that you created so much wealth and abundance? And he said, that's easy. He says, we embraced our lack. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, instead of running from what we didn't have, we ran towards it. I said, give me an example. He says, well, when computers came out, they would have these things that go from point A to B with 20 microchips. He goes, but these microchips were expensive. He goes, Jobs sold his car, I sold my calculator. We pooled our money to buy one. He goes, but Hewlett Packard and IBM would make the machines with 20. He said, so I'd pull away 5 and I'd go from A to B with 15. And then I would pull away 5, get it to work with 10. Eventually, I found a way to go from A to B using our one little magical chip. He goes, we were not trying to be innovative or cool, or we could afford one chip. But by embracing that as an opportunity, I found the shortest, cleanest path. And by doing that, I changed the way people do personal computing for the rest of the world, for the rest of their life. He says, where could you be right now in your own business if you stop looking at something as your greatest challenge and obstacle, but it could just be your greatest blessing and greatest opportunity in disguise? There you go, the little story, right? So no matter what someone says, you spin, spin, spin. So I mastered that little story, that song. And I know where to stop, I know where to hit it, I know where to punctuate. And by doing that, if I go to a speaking engagement and it's an hour long, they say, hey, we're running behind, we only got 12 minutes. No problem, I'll do my 3 greatest hits. So by doing
3
that,
greatest hits.
yeah,
I love that.
you're dialed in. Yeah, that's the way it works. I know everyone's shaking their head, but how simple, right? That's all it is. I just
I
mastered.
love it.
Yeah. To you, it sounds like the first time I told it, but I've told that what, a million times, right?
I love Greg's playlist. I love your playlist. I want to ask you a question I've not asked you before. Um,
Am I on the dating apps? Well,
I know about that. I know about that. Greg had some doozies. He's been catfished. What was that one? Somebody actually, no, they were impersonating you.
yeah,
And
I got it yesterday again from some people. It's I don't know what, I wish I was as popular and had relationships like I do on. Every single week I get somebody say someone's using your images to catfish and to, do whatever. And that's how we met some people. But yeah, I was on a show called Famous and Catfished, and for some reason they're just using it, but it sucks.
Oh, good grief. Okay, so I have, we're here talking about this idea of the American dream that unfortunately for a lot of people kind of turned into a bit of a nightmare in some ways, right? This is not a political conversation. I do want your thoughts about though the state of our financial economy and the importance, or maybe not importance, your thoughts about people having more than one income, multiple streams, incomes that they can scale and ebb and flow as whatever COVID hits next, or whatever happens next in our economy, that we can actually create some post guidelines for our family. What's that, like the bowling alley with the little guardrails up? What would you suggest that we do? What's your opinion about this?
Well, I will never tell anyone what they should do. However, I do believe in being diversified. So, for example, we have a little bit of cryptocurrency, so that continues to grow. We're doing a major real estate play, as you know, so I've got that one going. At the same note, I'm earning residual income from revenue and royalties from books. And I started a publishing company where I'm helping people do that. And then we do live events, speaking engagements. So it's coming from all directions. And what's nice is if one kind of dries up here and there, another one's feeding that stream. And I believe that we should have these multiple streams going at all times. And when they're all flowing, boy, we feel top of the world. And we go, why can't it be like this all the time? But sure enough, you and I both know how it will go. 1 or 2 of them will dry up, but at least we still got something coming in so we can continue to living our lifestyle. But we cannot just rely on one in today's market. It's not like it was in our father's times and era. It's very important to have multiple streams coming in all directions.
Well, even if you're just in that tax bracket of doom that I was as a really well-paid W-2 person, having a business enables us to write things off and do more with what we're earning, right?
Amen. Yeah, forming different corporations, and like I have 6 different corporations: California corporations, Nevada corporations, and they all feed each other directly and indirectly. So it's pretty darn snappy how that works. Yeah, so I'm definitely 100% on that same wavelength.
You and I have one of the same mentors in our financial world, Sharon Lecter. And Sharon has taught me so much about systems and leveraging the skills and abilities and systems of others. Tell us about your thoughts around system-driven income, and collaboration, leveraging what others have built perhaps and
Well,
taking
I
part
tell
in
you,
that.
now I'll spin it a different way. Everyone talks that same crap. I'll tell you what I did. So this is so simple. It's going to hurt some people's heads. Okay. There's a guy named Bob Proctor. He was in this movie called The Secret, and he's a motivational legend guy. And he sat me down and changed my life. And I said, how does it really work in like this personal development space to really be successful? And here was his answer. He says, find a way to get paid money to do what you're already going to do. Well, that set in for a second, but this changed my entire life. How do you get paid money to do what you're already going to do? What's common sense to you is genius to somebody else. I'll give you an example. You talk about affiliate marketing. Look, if you're going to go to the movies and you're going to go anyway, and if you like the movie and you told someone to go see the movie and you got $1 kickback for telling someone to go see a movie that you liked and you were going to go anyway, not a bad life, right? So guess what? There's people doing it from movie reviews, and you can go onto TikTok and see people talking about restaurants all the way down to whatever. And so when I was writing my books and they were becoming these mega bestsellers, when I did 3 Feet from Gold that sold gadillions of copies, 47 languages, I invited 300 plus people to go with me to meet the founder of all these different agencies and corporations, and no one showed up. Everyone had a bad case of the one size. That means I'll take action one side, get the kids out, one side, get the big break. No one came. And when I told this to Bob, he says, well, if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. How do you get paid money to do what you're already going to do? And I said, well, I'm going to get ready to write this next book. And so what I did is I charged people a large amount of money to go with me to write this book that I was already going to do. And guess what? There was a line out the door, and we made many 6-figure income before I even wrote the first page doing what I was already going to do. And the benefit for them is they got to hang out and meet all these amazing people. They could write their own book from the information. It was a win-win across the board. And then I says, you know what? I like adventure. I like jumping out of planes and running with bulls. Well, you don't run with bulls, you run from bulls, but I like doing these crazy diving in caves. So I started a adventure club called Life's Ultimate Adventure Club. And for X amount of dollars, you could, guess what? Jump out of an airplane with me, run from the bulls, do this stuff. And by creating something that I was going to do already, that's what started generating the most income, the leverage to what I'm doing today.
I love that. I love it. And you've had so many, I mean, just in the time that I've been in your circle, it hasn't been that long, but I've met people that I never would have thought I could meet. I remember sitting at a secret knock and just hanging out with this gentleman, having a nice conversation at lunch, and then he gets up and he's the founder of UGG Boots. And, all these famous people as well that you've had the blessing to connect with and hear their stories. I'm curious, like, who was your favorite, or who have you not yet interviewed that you'd like to interview?
Yeah, there's only one person I haven't got to is Musk, but I've been trying before he was cool and popular.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I got to his assistant 5 times. I just could never crack the code. And
Right.
but besides that, I'd say my favorite one probably is Frank. A lot of people, you don't know Frank Shankowitz, but he started this nonprofit. It's called Make-A-Wish Foundation. It grants wishes to terminally ill kids. And he was at Secret Knock, and I asked him, I says, what did you ask for? He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, you're a founder of Make-A-Wish. What was your wish? And he goes, no one asked me. I go, what? I go, I want to be the guy that grants the wish of the founder of Make-A-Wish. What do you want? Anything you want, I'll give it to you. And he says, I just want my story to be told so my grandkids will know I did something. So he signed over his life rights. I said, Frank, I'm going to make this into a major film. Just know that I've never made a feature film. And he trusted me, and it took 6 years of trials and tribulations. But when it came out, we actually made the ballot for the Oscars, and it's still trending worldwide right now. And the story is called Wish Man. And the message is that everyone can be a hero. You do not need to be a celebrity or a billionaire to give a pair of socks to a homeless person. You do not need to be some type of executive to stop a bully from fighting. Everyone can do one simple act of kindness to have a ripple effect to impact the lives around them.
Everybody needs to watch that movie. I loved that movie so much. What are you excited about right now? Obviously, you're getting ready for Secret Knock in a couple of weeks. Is there room for anyone else, by the way? Or are you guys maxed out?
Yeah, we've been sold out for many months on this
Okay.
one. On the same note, if you got a couple people you want to squeeze in on your guest list, you get back to me and let me know, okay? But
Okay.
we're
You
pretty,
heard it, friends. If
yeah.
any of you want to come with me,
This is
okay.
this one's gonna be pretty incredible. I'm gonna tell you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a doozy. We got some good people. And it's really interesting. It was going through, the system of doing these live events, and getting the band back together. We've got some really neat folks. I want to share with you some of the people coming in, but I don't want
I can't wait.
but I will tell you the thing that we're going to be doing is I'm doing another movie, and it's called Affluence. And what it is, it's going to be a 1-year journey where we interview people from all walks of life, from monks to millionaires, from celebrities to musicians, to find out the power of affluence, of what it is and it means to them. And each participant is going to be not only able to ask questions of these people that hopefully make it into the film, they get to be in the film with me. And then on top of that, they get a movie credit on IMDb, which we will win a bunch of awards. And then on top of that, we're going to write a best-selling book of all the takeaways and epiphanies that we get from making this movie. So it'll be like a triple win all the way around the board.
Wow. And I've been blessed to be part of some of Greg's collaboration efforts, the Secret of Happiness, the Lunar Legacy. It's unbelievable. How's the Lunar
Let's talk.
Legacy
Wait,
going?
the lunar legacy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're really paying attention to this because no one's responding. It's a little irritating for me. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
So many people and no one's even talking about it. So listen to this. Okay. So we wrote this book called Lunar Legacy. Basically, it's kind of like, what message would you like to leave for civilization of all mankind if you had a chance to do it? And we wrote it into a best-selling book here in the United States, but here's where it gets cool. A rocket ship that is in space right now that just launched a month ago, SpaceX, talking about Elon Musk, is headed to the moon. And on March 2nd, it's supposed to land on the moon as a lunar lander to stay there forever. And the first ever pyramid that was man-made, inside the pyramid, our book was etched and engraved in there. So our book will be left on the lunar surface for eternity. And what does that mean? Literally, if the world blows up in 1 trillion years from now, someone finds that, this could be the new Bible. So what is the people open it up of all mankind? It's Lisa Williams' words of what inspiration is. She will be one of the disciples. How incredible is this? I mean, it's
so cool.
It's
Yeah.
insane. It really is. It's absolutely incredible that you're part of this thing. So anyway, so that's happening.
I agree. There isn't enough, like, there's not enough out there about what's happening right now with that.
I think everyone's holding their breath to see if it actually lands and makes it.
Actually
But it
lands.
left the orbit. It is in process. It's called Blue Ghost 1. You can Google it right now. You can actually see the live feed from the rocket of Earth as it's hurtling towards the moon right now. It's crazy. And Lisa Williams is on a freaking rocket to the moon right now. Lisa Williams is on a rocket to the moon.
And anyone can be. Anyone. This is going to happen again and again, right?
I gotta go to work.
I know. Go
I'll see
do
you all
your
later.
thing.
Bye.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye.
Love you, friend. See ya. That's how he is. He's in and out, friends. I want to let you know he blessed us all with a gift, a free gift, and I'll have Donis put it in the chat. But I will tell you, he's one of the most prolific writers when it comes to entrepreneurship and, the spirit of sharing of the good news. He doesn't talk about his faith a lot, but he is a massive believer in the good book. And he blessed us all with a free copy of his millionaire mentor. And initially this was going to just be for our VIP friends, but he's like, Lisa, let's make sure we give it to everybody. So, Donis, if you could put that in the chat. Thank you, hon. Um, Friends, this is just an example of, when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I knew my friends. I knew, I'm blessed with a very close circle of friends. Um, and when I stepped into this world of entrepreneurship, one of the things that I love most about it was the spirit of generosity in these people. Sonia's shaking her head, and I want to actually highlight a couple of you right now. That it's a great example of the spirit of collaboration, and also the spirit of, we get in one room and then we find ourselves in another room and we're hanging out with the same people. Okay. So I'm highlighting Lisa and Sonia because we all met through this beautiful environment called 100X. Okay. And this crazy entrepreneur named Pedro Adeo. Right. And so I want to just ask both of you to talk for a moment about, for example, like when we first met and how when you get in a room where people are seeking the same things, it just becomes almost like a sisterhood that you didn't even know you had. And I don't care who goes first, or, it's almost like you've met a friend that you didn't even realize you needed in your life, or that God had planted for you, and you were just getting around to meeting them. Does that make sense? Right? Who can speak on that for a minute? I know I'm putting you girls on the spot a little bit, but
I can.
okay.
I don't mind to be put on this spot. So yeah, I know Lisa and I actually just connected 3 weeks ago. And it was one of those things where once I got to talking to her, we realized we were at the same conference in October of 2022. And for me, it was almost like a seed was planted that day, in many ways. For me, it was entrepreneurship because I was still in corporate America working a lot. I hated my job and I knew I had this deep desire to get out, and I just didn't know how. And so that year, I ended up quitting my job and started off 2023 on my own venture and didn't do it the right way. And so fast forward to a month ago, I was on Facebook and I saw Lisa's picture with one of my 100X coaches that I'm writing a book with, Daniela. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I saw Daniela, Lisa, and another one of my friends, Molly, on another meeting together. And I'm like, wait, the three of them know each other? This is just wild. And so I'm like, okay, God, you're showing me something here. What is it? And um, right after Lisa came on and did some financial training with the Network for the Kingdom with Daniela. And I immediately signed up because I was in a pretty bad place mentally, and I was feeling very defeated. And people know me as the gratitude queen. They see me positive, but inside I was literally just doing the doggy paddle to try to stay afloat. And I didn't know how to get out of the place that I was. And I knew God would take care of me. I just didn't know how, but I was trying to control it. So I got on the phone with Lisa, and one of my concerns is, I'd always been of the mindset when I got into entrepreneur that you have to pay others for their services. That was kind of drilled in me when I got into this space. But like Lisa was saying, is when you get into the right space, it's the generosity of others. So Lisa kind of was able to take me under her wing and really help me get out and provide me wisdom to get out of my space, but for me to do it myself, not for her to do it for me. And I was looking for somebody to rescue me. I've been looking for somebody to rescue me all my life, even though I've been a believer all my life. And it's a different kind of feeling. And I can tell you, right before I met with Lisa, I was able to finally, within a week of having somebody come along and support me like that, I was able to release stuff of the past, an 11-year court battle. The day before court, I was
On.
able to release it and let go of it.
Yeah.
And for the first time in my life, I can honestly say I am not stressed, I am not worried, and I don't have anxiety anymore. And it's because somebody came along and showed me how to do things, but didn't do it for me, but encouraged me and gave me the resources and passed me to people who were able to help me in certain areas. And for so long, I wanted to do it all myself. And it's like, you gotta let go and just let God put things in your path to help you. So, that seed was planted in October of 2022. And here I am. And my mindset God's been working on my mindset for a while as well with different people who He's brought into my life. Again, not charging me anything. I will pay for things, absolutely. But sometimes it's the people who really come along when you need them and where you're not feeling like you have to do something. It's you're letting them love you just like Jesus loves you. So
I
Lisa,
love
thank you
that.
for all you've done too. I mean,
I love
for
that.
listening to God and
Well, and I just want to mention, I haven't known Sonia long, but what I recognized in you immediately, my dear, is this fighting spirit and there was this, I just remember so vividly that first call in comparison to the second call, because we've only had two calls. And
right.
I think what was beautiful about that transformation was I just simply showed you, maybe reminded you what you already knew,
Mhm.
right? And I gave you a few tools and that encouraged you to take action. And you took the action, my dear. You took the action. We talk about in our community these little needle moving activities, right? That little by little they accomplish what we're desiring, right? And you released some debt since we talked last. You've had some, it sounds like you're maybe investing differently. Just
I
look
am.
at just what a short period of time. We talk about in our community something called responsible compassion, right? You have compassion. I have compassion for others. I believe so strongly in giving them tools and yet also strongly in enabling them to do it for themselves, right? Which is all you did. So thank you, honey, for sharing. I can't wait to actually get to meet you sometime in person and we just get to virtually hug in the meantime,
Yeah,
Thanks so much for sharing.
absolutely. Thank
And
you.
I'm gonna highlight now my friend Lisa because, and she's gonna kill me for this because she and I, so we were blessed to be in the same room again. Isn't it funny how you get in these rooms, right? And I remember like seeing her online when we would be in this big Zoom room, and I'm like, she would say some things, and I'm like, I get to be friends with her. And then I don't even remember how it happened, Lisa. Did we just reach out a little bit and just say we wanted to be coaching buddies. We wanted to practice with each other, right?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I get to be friends with her. She gets to be my friend for life. And I also challenged you that I felt like God was calling us to do something together.
Mhm.
So give us a little, what's your version of that, by the way?
So, I don't know if I've told you this, but we were in, yeah, we got connected because we wanted to be coaching buddies, but I first met Lisa in another room, and she was communicating with our mentor, and there was something about her. I was just drawn to her. I was like, I need to get to know Lisa. And the thing about her is she's somebody that you want in your life. And that has just spurred on our friendship and ability to partner. And so, yeah, we made a connection, and it's not just because our names are Lisa, but she challenged me, you guys, because I used to think that I wasn't a dreamer because I'm very logic based. I'm in finance, so I have a lot of practical ways that I think. And she challenged me to think bigger and to dream. And I took her, I'm a take somebody at their word. So I did. And I went away and I thought about it, and we came up with a way to collaborate and partner. And the thing that is this has just been fantastic because Greg hit like buttons and flashes were going off over here because he really spoke to something that I firmly believe, and that is your destiny is tied to other people. 100%. And so, and I don't know if you can feel it, but there's a connection here in this community that is just beckoning you to come in and to step in and partner. And so I've done that with Lisa, and it's so funny because it is true. You're so influenced by who you're in proximity with, and you want to be in proximity with people that are doing things and going places. I mean, some of the things that Greg left us with about the playlist and how to prepare and to just be looking for those opportunities. And so that's Lisa and I's story. We saw something in one another, and we were like, hey, we need to connect, and we did. And it's been great ever since. So
and you're gonna you'll hear later a little bit about one of Lisa's gifts is helping others find joy in their lives. And she has a joy session that she does with our community that some of you have already been blessed with. Who could use more joy in their life? It was actually one of my things I wrote down in my vision board for 2025, which, by the way, it was the first year that I actually did my goal setting with the Holy Spirit. I went through an exercise, and Lisa, you actually gave me the joy of the Lord is our strength. Absolutely, Sonia. Lisa actually gave me a template that I used. I've always been huge into goal setting and vision boards, and I was blessed with a mentor early in my corporate career that poured that idea into me, and I've done them my whole life. But I will say, in all the years of goal setting, it's the first year I actually created a plan, but I also asked God what he thought of it. I actually inquired, like, this is what I think, but what do you think? Right? We have a mutual mentor and that's how Lisa and I met. And Lisa, you and I have been very blessed in this last 30 days with serving this greater community of 100X. We just, for those of you that aren't familiar, we just finished a 31-day wisdom challenge on a deep dive into the book of Proverbs. And one of the things that our mentor and broker talks about is this kingdom wealth formula. What is the kingdom wealth formula? Lisa, what is the kingdom wealth formula, by the way?
The thing about the kingdom wealth formula is it's incredibly simple. It's a 3-step framework: protect, earn, multiply. And the thing is, you guys, life, there are some simple things in life and we complicate them. And so when you distill it down, God is a God of order and process. And so there is an order and process to that abundant life that we're after. And so, yeah, the kingdom wealth formula is it's 3 simple steps: protect, earn,
it's so simple. And yet, how many of us, protect can look like a lot of things, right? So let's dive into this. We're going to actually dive into the kingdom wealth formula. Thank you, Lisa, my friend, for letting me put you on the spot. We're going to dive into the kingdom wealth formula. And I promise this goes along with our affiliate marketing, our leverage, our ability to create multiple income streams. But let's talk about this. First of all, protection. Let's talk about the first step. So protection can mean a lot of things, right? It can be something as simple as I have, an alarm system on my house, right? It can be I have a spare tire in my trunk. Does anyone know where their spare tire is, by the way? Like, I actually know where it is, but would you actually know what to do with it? Let's just be honest, friends. Would you actually? I know how to call AAA, right? That's my form of protection. I have AAA, right? Who has insurance on any electronics in their home? Does anyone have? I'd have to phone a friend. Exactly, Lisa. I'd have to phone a friend. Um, does anyone have like warranties on their phone or maybe their refrigerator, or like my television is smarter than me. I'm telling you, I don't know how it does what it does. Like it's so intuitive. So yes, we have insurance, right? We have protection there. What about protection for maybe some of the more basic things? Like, has anyone, for example, um, donated to a GoFundMe lately? Has anyone had a friend or a loved one that maybe died too soon and unfortunately their families were left devastated? Protection can be something very basic like life insurance. And I'm gonna geek out on you a little bit right now because I want to explain something. You can kind of have a tale of two stories in your life, okay? I have a story about one of my dearest friends, and I promise this leads to the conversation of protection. Okay, her name's Elizabeth. I met her at um, a job that I absolutely loved. We had some of the most fun years together. I actually met her at a single parent Bible study. My husband had left. I had a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old, to find love in the arms of another woman, by the way, one of my dearest friends. That's a story for another day. And her husband had actually left her as well when she had just had her second child. I literally showed up to this room, this her front door with a Bible in my hand and a prayer in my heart to save me, right? And she became one of my dearest friends. And we had so much fun together. We fell in love. Again, each of us, we got married. I had another baby. Sometimes you have to switch husbands to get your girl, by the way. Sometimes that just happens, right? And long story short, this woman became such an instrumental part of my life story, my faith story. Talk about a woman of faith and perseverance through difficult times. Well, my sweet Elizabeth, when she was 41 years old, she got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And what's crazy about this story is that uh, Elizabeth actually had life insurance at one point. She had over $1 million in coverage. And during the time when bills were kind of tight, right? She and her husband decided to stop making payments on that life insurance policy. My friends, did you know this policy? It was $34 a month for $1 million policy. And my sweet friend ended up passing away with no life insurance. And her family will never be the same again. Truly never be the same again. Um, and this is one of the reasons that I am so passionate about protection first. Protection when it comes to the fundamental thing in life. What would happen to my family? I want you to think about this for a moment and even write the names down. If I pass away today and I am no longer here with my two hands that can provide an income to my family, who is relying on these two hands? Maybe it's monetarily. I met with a client last week, actually, and I asked her this question: is there anyone relying on your income? right now. And she had grown children. She has a couple grandkids. No one's really relying on her income. But I asked her, how about your hands? Is anyone relying on your two hands? And it made her pause for a moment. And she's like, you know what? Actually, yeah, I care for my grandchildren. If I wasn't here, my daughter would be, I don't know what she'd do, right? So life insurance can mean a lot of different things to people. It might mean a way for you to just protect your family. If God forbid you're called to heaven sooner than you expect, um, everyone has something called their own insurable need, their human economic life value. That's one of the things our Kingdom Wealth specialists can help you with. By the way, our services are, as Sonia said, entirely free, right? And I want to just encourage you, friends, whether whether you are here for the first time, whether you've heard this message many times, if you haven't yet met with someone on our team that can help you evaluate what would happen to your family if you weren't here, maybe you actually have a policy and you don't actually know where it is. You don't know what it does. You don't know what it covers, right? You might just need somebody to come along beside you and actually help you ensure that your family is going to be okay. Because here's the deal. There's 3 phases of our life, right? There's a phase where our body's at work. We're trading our time for money. There's a phase at one point, hopefully, we get to a phase where maybe our bodies take a little rest. Our money takes over. We've saved enough, we've invested enough that our money actually gets to take over the work. And at some point, we're all going to be gone and there's going to be, something that we leave behind. Now the question is, what are you leaving behind? What are you leaving behind? Most of us, it's at least $1 million, for example, to replace what our 2 hands can produce. Now, that might seem like a lot of money to you, but I can give you a more specific number. Berta, this is what I need from you to give you this specific number. If you can just tell me exactly the time and day that you're going to die. Then I can give you the exact number that you need to replace what your 2 hands can produce. Let's face it, we do attract people of faith here. And I believe, I believe in good things, but I also believe in planning for the worst. I believe that is kingdom. I know that it talks about leaving an inheritance for our children in the Bible, right? So, friends, if you find maybe you don't know what you have, if you see that there perhaps could be a gap in your current situation, then make sure that we're going to make sure you get a link to schedule time with our team at the end of this conference. And we also just want to be your friend. We believe we can never have enough friends in the kingdom. Now, let's talk a little bit about also one of my favorite things, because the Kingdom Wealth Formula, as Lisa said, there's 3 phases, okay? Protection first is one of them. The second and the third are the things I really get excited about, which is earning and multiplying. Okay, let's talk about how to earn and multiply, how to multiply your money. Friends, there's 3 types of people in this world. Okay, there's people that work for someone else. This was me for decades. I know many of us have had jobs that we may or may not have loved. There's also people that work for themselves. You might have friends that have, they've hired themselves. They've made that brave leap into entrepreneurship. Now, sometimes what happens is they end up owning a job. Is there anyone that maybe is working for themselves right now that sort of feels like they own a job? I'm still in this phase. I'm actually kind of in transition. I have some income streams that are paying me regardless of what my 2 hands are doing. I have some investments. I have real estate investments. I have crypto investments. I have stock investments. I don't really have to actively do much, right? And then there's some things that I am very active in, like meetings like this, workshops that we share, right? So right now, friends, ask yourself, where is your income? Is it all active? If you suddenly were not able to do what you love, or maybe don't love, what would happen, right? Does it make sense to protect what we are actually doing, protect our income? We teach women to increase their income streams. We believe in multiple income streams. I went from having one primary source of income to I have 8. I just did my taxes. I had 8 income streams last year. And I'm evaluating 2 more right now at the moment. That mostly what I focus on these days is digital content, digital ways to create economies. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you today. I wish I had time to share, a lot more with you, but I'm going to share some of the highlights of some of my favorites, okay? And what I want to be very clear about, friends, is I am very purposeful about what I choose. I'm a headhunter by trade. I did it for decades. I know about supply and demand. And I know that depending what job you choose, you may be in very high demand or very low demand, right? You might be paid very well. You might be not paid very well. Dana knows very well. She's in one of the areas that I worked for decades is technology. Dana's a very senior technologist in her area of expertise. And you know very well, Dana, right? There are some tech professionals that they earn a heck of a lot of money. And then there's some people that really never seem to go beyond, the basic, maybe networking or tech support role, right? Just like any profession in the world of entrepreneurship, there's things that you can step into or that are highly profitable. There's a massive need, and there's things that, there's a lot of them. It's hard to go around the noise. So what I focus on is industries that there's needs for. So I'm going to share my screen and share some of the highlights. One of the areas, I know that most people feel like they're paying too much in taxes. I have an affiliate program that actually helps people pay less in taxes. Another area that I absolutely love is personal growth, motivation, vision. How can I get to where I want to go by leveraging, skills? How can I grow myself? This is a booming industry. Real estate is another area. I have an affiliate program with real estate. Community involvement. One of my favorite things about entrepreneurship, we talked about this already, is actually how people build other people and create partnerships through collaboration. One of my income streams alone brought me $20,000 last year just by me supporting my friends and their vision and their encouragement and the things that they were working on, right? Personal coaching. There is so much business booming in personal coaching. And I also, one of my favorite affiliate programs is debt. Believe it or not, I personally was in a world of hurt many years ago. I had over 70,000 in credit card debt. I didn't know I was paying so much in fees and I was just burdened. I would go to bed at night. My husband only actually knew about some of it. He didn't actually know about all of it, which was horrible. In my heart of hearts, I knew that what I was hiding from him was so damaging to our relationship. And you know what? I had a lot of pride in the sense of I felt like, you know what? I incurred this debt. I need to be the one that gets myself out of it. And I evaluated different programs in the past, and I thought, you know what? I feel like this isn't for me. Until one day, I actually sat down and I started to calculate how much I was paying in interest to these debt companies, my friends. Do you know that I actually had already paid off my debt, right? And then some. But year after year, I was paying so much in interest. Let me ask you, do you think the banks and financial institutions are set up for the average consumer success in today's society? Friends, we get to take the ability that we have in front of us, which I did, And I agree, Lisa, sadly, no. And I simply enrolled in a program. I was able to release my debt in less than 2 years. At the same time, I added income streams that enabled me to earn more. And remember, I was stuck in this tax bracket of doom and gloom as a highly paid corporate executive with one income stream. And when I lost my largest client, because a younger woman came in to the organization and they handed her my client, guess what, friends? I lost a lot in revenue. And also it was the best thing that could have ever happened. It happened for me, not to me. Right. So I want to encourage you, the debt space, I spoke with Sonia about this. What I encourage people to think about affiliate marketing is, first of all, what has helped them? What do you personally feel passionate about? First of all, it requires you to take action and participate in workshops like this, for example, workshops. There are so many places you could be today. And the fact that you are here in this room with us, that tells me that you are meant for more. You are seeking more in your life. One of my other favorite areas is the area of travel. I love to travel. Does anyone else love to travel? Does anyone else have a vision board that has I have so many places on my vision board that I get to go. And one of the things that it's funny, in my former profession, I was very blessed with tons of trips. We would always, my husband and I were known as the $1 million couple. I met my husband at work, and we were one of the top 10% performers in this nationwide organization. And they took us fabulous places. By the way, isn't it more fun when somebody else pays for your travel, by the way? Isn't that way more fun, right? So, one of my affiliate programs that I'm so blessed to be part of, they just launched a travel affiliation. It's basically, I've just now created my own wholesale travel mini agency, right? From the comfort of my computer, right? And the ability to share in the love of travel with those around me, the people that I know and love, and friends, new friends, old friends, right? So these are, a couple of examples of some of the ways that you can actively create your own economy in this crazy world of digital media and online business building, right? Now, I want to pause for a minute because we're going to bring to the stage my dear, dear friend. Where is she?
I'm right
Where
here.
is Miss Mel? There she is. Hi, honey.
Yes, hello, my
So,
love.
what's that?
I said hello, my love.
Hello, my dear. Okay, so first of all, I have to share with you, Mel and Mel is one of the first people I actually met in the world of entrepreneurship. Okay. I said yes to this crazy lady named Shanda Sumter. Some of you know Shanda. In fact, many of you I've met through Shanda or have subsequently met Shanda. But she was hosting this workshop about how to create a summit, right? How to create, and this was this first interview series that I mentioned Greg was on many years ago. And I just remember seeing you in this room. I mean, picture this Zoom room was a lot bigger. There's usually like a couple hundred of us, right, on that Zoom room, but you were highlighted to me, my friend. She and I ran into each other in different somehow. What was next? We ran
We
into each
wound up
other
meeting in person at a Laurel Langmeyer thing.
at Laurel's big table. We're both
Yeah.
part of Laurel's community. We're now both part of the Secret Knot community. And now one of the things that I'm most excited about is my sweet friend is part of our kingdom community, because you actually had a very personal experience with Jesus this summer, right?
Yes, God called me back
Let's
home.
actually start there. Why don't we start there? Because that's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, God called me back home this summer. It was beautiful. So My name is Mel Mason. I'm known as the clutter expert. And one of the things that happened when I was younger was my brother, when I was 15 years old, he committed suicide. And I was in the church. I was brought up in a Baptist church. I was someone who was evangelizing. I was a light in the church. And when my brother committed suicide, somebody told me that in the church that he was pretty much burning in hell. And at that point in my life, Christianity stopped answering my questions, and I went on my own little journey. I never stopped believing in God. I just stopped believing in heaven and hell. And I went on this journey. I still felt God was leading me, but I studied all kinds of things. I studied Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, the Quran. Like I've studied everything, Hermetics and all the things, and channeled entities and all the things. And for 30 plus years, I was what I would consider the obstinate, defiant, rebellious, prodigal daughter. And when I was growing up, when I went through all of those traumatic things in my life, losing my brother and a whole bunch of other stuff, sexual abuse, there was one thing that kept me going, one thing that kept me alive. And that was knowing that someday that God would use all of these things to help others. And I knew I had a big calling on my life. So that set me up to put God in really, I basically tested God for 30 years. And that obstinate, defiant, prodigal daughter just did whatever the hell I wanted, knowing that God wasn't going to let anything happen to me. Along that journey, so we'll just back up. So because of all of that, I basically was just doing my own thing, still believing in God, but wasn't practicing, wasn't going to church. I read a bunch of spiritual literature, didn't really pray much, but just continued to believe. And through a series of events over the summer, through working the 12 steps of recovery again with a sponsor and doing a 5th step, God called me back home. He put a song in my heart that had been in my heart that was when I was a kid, used to play in my head all the time. And he put that song back in my heart, and he called me back home to him this summer in June. And let's just say my life has been on a rocket ship ever since.
I love it. I love it. It's been such a beautiful thing to witness. I remember we were at Secret Knock in Vegas this fall, and she ran up to me. She's like, Lisa, guess what? Because she knows how much I love Jesus, and she knew how excited I would be for her that she had found her way home. And Mel, okay, so you left me a voicemail. You left me a voice memo yesterday, and you said you were on did I hear correctly, a 40-day, you just completed a 40-day fast.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Jesus's fast, it's known as the Prophet's Fast. I read, I was called so I've been called, one of the things that God has called me to do when I was a kid, one of the reasons why I studied energy healing and all these other modalities is when I was about 17 or 18, God put a vision in my mind. I just had a vision that I would put my hands on people that were in wheelchairs and they got up and they walked. And I always thought I needed to go do these energy healing trainings for that to happen. And I read this book, The Atomic Power of God, through prayer and fasting, or fasting and prayer. And when I read that book, it just really resonated with me that I got to do the 40-day Prophet's Fast, which is about removing all doubt and unbelief. And Jesus didn't actually come into his full power and perform his first miracle until after he completed his 40-day fast in the desert and was tempted. And so I committed to taking this fast on starting January 1st. So Sunday night, I officially completed, through the grace of God, 40 days, water only, nothing in the water, no electrolytes, no anything, but strictly just drinking water for 40 days, living on prayer and the word of God.
Wow. I'm blown away, Mel.
Praise God. I'm blown away what the most powerful thing that came through the whole process was full reliance and dependence on God for everything, for my strength, for my energy, to the hunger cravings, through everything. And it made me realize that there is nothing not a breath, not anything that I do on my own.
You've inspired me. I can't even imagine doing that. And yet, you think about, there's a lot of, people that come to these kinds of workshops. Would you agree that we're all seeking something? We're all like, we're sitting in this life that we're sitting in, whatever our story is, and we're seeking something. And yet you took a massive, like, that is not something very many people would be able to do, Mel. To
So
me,
I wasn't able to do it. Let's just be
right,
clear. I was
right.
not able to do it. It's not of
Yeah.
my power whatsoever.
And well, that's just it. Talk about, this is a perfect example, my friends, of the word we've been discussing this last couple of hours: leverage. What did Mel do? She leveraged the Holy Spirit. She leveraged the power of God to get her through this, right? I did not know what to expect when you left that message. I noticed there was, you sounded very tired, and I can only, like, truly physically, what was going on during this time? I'm curious. And
Yeah, so
when did it, like, was it like the first 3 days, it was okay? And then, like, what was it like when you were
yeah, so
going through it?
I did a 10-day last year. I wanted to do the 40-day, but I did a 10-day in October, but I wasn't about to do it through Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
Yeah.
I committed last year to January 1st. And what I found after the 10-day, I was like, oh, I could just keep going. So for me, because I do regular fasting, the first 3 days, even though there's hunger, like, that's not a big deal. And so I would say the first 3 weeks of it, I still had a lot of energy. I actually went to work with a client in person. They brought me out to Palm Springs. I was working in a garage for 6 hours, lifting heavy boxes. Then I went for a hike the next day. Still had a lot of energy. What I did notice is by day 25 and 26, it was the first time that I got hangry. Like, I got super, super cranky. And that's where, again, you just turning it over and turning it over and just turning to God for support and support through that whole process. And he continues to carry you through. But the last week is where I noticed that I started to get really weak. So feeling just really tired and just needing to rest a lot more. So something as simple as brushing your teeth will take the wind out of you. So one of the things that happens when you fast is your heart rate raises. So things that, just normal things that you can do that normally don't get you out of breath, start getting you out of breath. And so it was a lot of learning to rest. And that was the other big lesson, was really just trusting and resting in him, right? Spending lots of time taking naps, resting in between calls, clearing a lot of my schedule when I could, not filling my schedule, spending a lot of time reading the word and in prayer. And so it officially ended Sunday night. And so that was where, like, my energy was definitely at its lowest. And now, even though I can't consume that much food, I'm only on day 2 of starting to put food in my body. Like, my energy level is just back through the roof.
Right.
I
I
can't
can't
go like
imagine.
climb rocks and go for
Right.
this crazy stuff, but I'm about to do on Saturday, God willing, and it'll only be through the grace of God. I'm doing this thing called the Copper Mountain Four Peaks Challenge with a friend here. That's a 12-mile hike without any training. I've not been able to train for it.
This does not surprise me, though. This girl, what's the longest race you did?
I did a 50K trail race at the end of 23.
So crazy. And it's funny, like, one of my things that I did when I went through my divorce, I've shared this with you. I needed a physical goal. And so I went out, I'm like, I'm going to run a marathon. And I joined one of those team and training groups. And when I started, I could only run like a mile and a half. And I finished that dang marathon 6 months later in 4:42. I did not stop. I made the whole way. And what was funny is Paul and we were just starting to date at that time. And I think the only reason he did it was because he wanted to spend time with me. But we literally, it did a couple things. It was one, it was a place of refuge for me because for the first time, I wasn't seeing my boys every weekend. You know, we went to this schedule where I wouldn't have them every other weekend, and it was so hard for me. And it was a place I could go and like be there, be doing something, be in action and take action on a goal, you know? But I remember we would go to these coffee shops after, and you'd be wearing like your team in training jerseys, and so you would see people and people would be like, oh, I did it last year, or I did it 5 years ago. Don't you just love that adrenaline rush? I'm like, no, I still haven't gotten it. When's it going to come? I never got it, not once. And so what I recognize is that like a lot of physical goals like this it's 90% in the mindset. Yes, there's preparation that you're doing, right? So for example, I just hired a health coach. Finally, I am getting to get clear on why have I
No
gained this weight?
finally
Why am
about
I
it. You just hired the
I'm
coach.
just
There's no
doing it,
finally
right? I
about it.
just hired, and I hired a woman that, you know, there's so many choices you have out there, right?
Mhm.
To what, and I was seeking someone that truly knew about metabolic issues that I, you know, was going through. And she's encouraging me to start a practice of fasting. So since you're such an expert, what's your, like, if someone's new to that? Um, and I really think it goes along with creating these holy habits that we talk about in the Sacred 60, right? That you and I will share a little bit about that as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is intention. So I had a really big intention, right, for my fasting. It was to draw closer to Jesus, to remove all doubt and unbelief so that I can do what he's called us all here to do, which is to heal the sick, raise the dead, and cast out demons. Like we're still called to do that, right? Those
Mhm.
things are still affecting the world today. The people just don't see it that way, but that's really what's happening, and that's what we're called to do. And so I had a really powerful intention for why. So it's about killing the flesh, right? The flesh is what gets in the way of us being able to be connected with spirit. Like our flesh is what gets in the way. So when you afflict the flesh and you kill the flesh, it makes there's no interference anymore. There's stuff that's not getting in the way. So you're ultimately really clearing the clutter.
Right, right.
So
So,
intention first, and then, start small. Like I would do corporate fasting with Kingdom Alliance and fast 1 day a week, right? So starting at like 6 p.m. one night till 6 p.m. the following night, just water, nothing. Don't put lemon in your water. Don't drink coffee. Some people say coffee, like a true fast is water only, no lemon, no electrolytes, truly trusting on God, right? Because man cannot live by bread alone, but by every word that
Mhm.
cometh out of the mouth of the Lord, right? And
Mhm.
so fasting starting with 1 day, and then do 3 days and see what happens. And then
Mhm.
commit to a 10 day. The 10 day was powerful for me. It was the first 5 days of the 10 day. I actually had more physical symptoms on the 10 day because halfway through, 5 days in, I wound up, because this can totally happen. I woke up with a fever. I woke up and I just was literally pouring sweat out of every pore in my body. And I was like, what is going on? And I just kept praying, and I have my Bible app, and I was just listening to the Bible, and I was just like, I just put a towel down on the sofa and I was just laying there. I'm like, okay, Lord, what's going on here? I'm just going to listen to the word, and I'm just going to keep praying. And within an hour, it completely passed. And it was like a day of miracles for me. Like I had 3 miracles happen that day after I broke through that.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. I now you have a very specific way that you support your community with in the world of clutter, right? We all have clutter in our lives. Mel's been to my house. She knows I have a very, like, if you could walk into my house at any time, right, Donis? And my house, it would look like it was ready for company. Now, if you open the closet, that might be a different story. Does anyone else have a house like that, by the way? I'm not the only one, right?
Here, let me give you the
But
stages. So you got, people that don't have clutter at all, right? They're I got no
Yeah.
clutter. Then you got those that the outside looks good, but don't open any doors or drawers. Then you have those that, can't park the car in the garage.
Right.
And then that next level is we've moved to offsite storage.
Right. Well, and let's talk about, because I've known you for many years now, and I know you. One of the things we talk about in entrepreneurship is, staying the course. Find a lane that resonates with you and stay the course. Don't get distracted too much by the bright shiny objects. I think that's one of the biggest things I've recognized I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that are building wealth differently. And I find that there's a lot of people saying yes to all the things. And it's very difficult to be successful if you don't stay the course. And
Yes.
so what I love about how you're serving is you've stayed the course, but how you're serving and who you're showing up as has really drastically changed with this commitment, this obedience that you've felt.
Yeah, it's been so beautiful because first and foremost, like God inspired the idea for me to launch an organizing business 11 years ago. And
Yeah.
it was through his inspiration with my, my background in overcoming my own clutter. I had a background in energy healing, so I could hold really safe space for people. I loved creating order out of chaos. And I knew how to keep the clutter from coming back from overcoming my own clutter. And so he gave me this idea, we'll launch an organizing business. So I read one book and I launched like a month later, and that was 11 years ago. But what has set me apart from, say, an organizer is that because I know how to keep the clutter from coming back through my own personal experience, not just going to read books or just because I like organizing, I've walked through everything I teach my clients. Knowing how to keep the clutter from coming back, I teach people to get to the root of it, because the clutter itself is just a symptom.
Yeah.
Outside is simply just a mirror. And so I've been doing that for so long. And now God is showing me that what I'm really doing and what my business gets to be, and I'll share that you don't even know this yet. I just got this from my pastor. But my business is actually a ministry of deliverance and healing for people, because what I'm really doing is supporting people and removing anything that's in the way of them having a relationship with Jesus. Like what's really in the way, because the true transformation comes from a relationship with Jesus. That's where true transformation is.
It really does, and friends, one of the things that wherever you are in your your life journey, maybe you are like Mel, you've gone through the ringer, you've found your redemption, you're really living in what you truly believe God's purpose is for you. Maybe you're early stages of your fully trusting, right? Wherever you're at, I want to encourage you, create some sort of challenge for yourself. And I'm actually going to put the link in the chat for one that I personally have done. I have not yet actually accomplished it yet. The Sacred 60, Mel. Tell us what you know.
I'm on day 36.
You're on day 36. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about the Sacred 60, okay? I just put it in the chat, and this is completely free, friends. This is for those of you, by the way, you just signed up for it this morning. Awesome, Sonia. Okay, so this is, some of us are already part of this community, Kingdom Alliance. That's actually, Mel is who introduced me to one of my, actually, I will actually tell you, it's my favorite affiliate program. It is absolutely my favorite because it combines all the things that I love. It combines seeking God's wisdom in my life. It combines health. It combines wealth. It combines holy habits, which I absolutely love, right? It combines travel. Now it has this beautiful travel pillar that they just added.
Mhm.
But one of the first things I did when I became a member of this community is I embraced the Sacred 60. Now I want to tell
And
you
you
the
don't have
Sacred
to be a
60.
member to do
No,
Sacred
it's
60.
free. Yeah,
Yeah, totally
absolutely.
free.
And so, friends, if you are looking for transformation in your life in some way, it does not matter what area of transformation, there's three main ways, there's three main pillars that when you really think about, Mel, any business, they're actually serving three pillars. They're serving relationships, they're serving health, or they're serving wealth. They are solving problems in one of those three categories.
Yeah.
Name the business, it doesn't matter what it is. There is some relation to one of those three pillars, right? And this is what I love about this challenge is it's personal, first of all. Now, granted, the very best way to be successful, I think, is to actually have a buddy to do it with.
Mhm.
I embarked on the first time I did it. I started December 4th, and I just did it by myself. And you know that during the holidays, when we are almost busy and crazy and being given lots of options for partaking, actually just chewing a lot of the wrong things, let's just face it, right? I was able to lose 8 pounds between December 4th and today, right? I am still down 8 pounds and I'm continuing to go. But one of the things that I love about it is you're creating holy habits. So, I won't go into the details of it because you can, if you're interested, you can, sign up and find out yourself. But the highlights of it is I consider it a bookend with God.
Mhm.
Bookends the beginning and the end of your day. And the other thing that I've recognized in this experience is that Mel, you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. What's like the worldly version of the 80-20 rule in
Well,
your
I'll just
in
put
your
it in
opinion?
terms of clutter. Like you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time.
Yep.
Okay, in your
100
closet. So 20% of your clothes you wear 80% of the time. The other 80% you hardly ever touch. There's those couple things that you might wear once a year or whatever, but the rest you can get rid of. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, ladies, raise your hands if this is your closet. Like literally every time I do this workshop, I love this top because I like how the color I like the color for myself. My friends know, Lisa, you wear that like 9 times out of 10 we do this workshop. Yes, I do, and I probably will do it again. Okay, so friends, we all have that commonality. Now I want to invite you to think about the kingdom way of looking at the 80-20 rule. Okay. Imagine spending 80% of your time focused in seeking God's wisdom in your life.
Seek ye first
What?
the kingdom, and all else will be added.
Absolutely. And guess what happens, Mel? What happens? He expands time in that 20%, doesn't he?
Yes. Yes. Like spending a half an hour, like as part of Sacred 60 is to read for 30 minutes. And you can read whatever you want. One of it, you read one chapter out of your Bible, but also read for 30 additional minutes. And I just choose to spend the 30 minutes in the word, right? And it just time expands and you just get to read so much. Like I've almost, because I also joined some other Bible, like reading the Bible groups, like I'm going to have like read the entire Bible in I think like 9 months by the time I'm done. And it's just so fascinating to be in the word and to see the whole complete story, but to be in God's word and have him talking to you all the time, right? But you want to hear God talk, read his word out loud. He's always talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also that that consistency of having, now, are you doing it with your team, or do you have
A
like
bunch of
just a
people
bunch
signed
of
up,
friends?
but I mean, a bunch of people registered, but no, it's
Yeah.
a solo thing. Everybody's doing it on their own.
It is very much a solo thing, but I encourage you, like, you know, do it yourself. Maybe for you, you're going to do a version of it, like maybe you won't accomplish everything, but you know what I did do? I broke off on some of the things. Like, I think the funny thing was the things that I forgot to do were like silly things like walk outside one day. I mean, how easy is that to walk
Mhm.
outside, and I
I
just thought,
literally scheduled everything in my calendar. And so so I modified, because one of the things is exercise daily. It doesn't give you a specific amount of time, and do a 30-minute prayer walk, right? Well, as I was fasting, the longer I was fasting, some days a 30-minute walk was too much. So I still
Yeah.
did a prayer walk. I just shortened it. And exercise, like I couldn't sustain exercise. I could barely do one set of push-ups. So I would just do one set of whatever I could do. So I
right.
still did the thing, but everything was also put in my calendar.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
And I have a
actually
master checklist. Like I created my own master checklist
Ah!
I that I check off every day. So it's like in front of my face all day long. It's like, okay. And before I got out of bed every day, like I did certain things before I even got out of bed, like the 60-second breathing. So I had something checked as soon as I got out of bed.
I love that. And this is a great segue to let's talk about clutter in our finances, Mel. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure this is one of the hottest topics you talk about with your clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's so common. I mean, the three common things that my clients all have in common is they have physical clutter, they're carrying extra weight on the body, and they have debt up to their eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Or some clients have a lot of money in so many accounts, they don't know where it all is.
Yeah. 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 So let's talk about that for a minute because, friends, I want to encourage you to consider for a moment. Okay. Imagine you're sitting in your home and there is a long line of people out your front door. Okay. And the worldly way to address those people. Okay, the first person at your door knocking on the door is your rent payment or your mortgage. The next one, probably in order of priority in my house, would be the phone bill because you need your phone to do anything in this world, right? Especially my daughter on
I probably pay
TikTok.
my phone first.
Right, right.
I can live out of my car if I have to, right?
Right. It might be, yeah, for some, it might be the car payment that they live in. I'm just, right. My point is there's this long line of people out our front door, right? Wouldn't we agree that the worldly way to pay those people is all of those people get paid first? And then the very last person at the end of the line is our savings, is us, is our future, like our kingdom economy. If there was one tiny, 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 tiny little thing that people changed, is who are they paying first, right? Who are they paying first? And the deal is, Mel, don't you agree that if you don't know where your money's going, it will get in trouble?
Yeah, 100%. And everything I teach is about the willingness to look. Like clutter accumulates because we're unwilling to look at it. If you really boil it down to its super simplest, like, I don't want to deal with you, so I'm just not willing to. And it's the same with where your money's going. Why do you think they have these apps now, Rocket, whatever, to undo your subscriptions because you're just not willing to look yourself? Like, just look at
Right.
your bank statements and look at what's recurring and see where your money's going. If you were looking, you would know.
Yep, absolutely. And let's talk about that for a minute because, most of us also, the people that attend these kind of workshops, right? They are being called to make an impact. Wouldn't you agree that every one of us on this call, we are being called to make an impact and we will make an impact on the world, right? And we are making an impact on the world. And I want to, pose the question to you, Mel. What is most precious to God?
Our relationship with him. He wants our
Yeah.
attention.
He wants us. We are the most precious.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's a concept that we talk about in our community. Imagine So we're all here to make an impact. What are we here to make an impact on? People, right? Wouldn't you agree? We want to serve. We want to commune with others. We want to collaborate. Now, how willing is God to give us the trust of his most precious thing, which is us, his people, if we haven't first been careful about the least thing? If we don't know where our money is going, if we don't have any clue how much Starbucks is getting, I was so embarrassed to talk about how much Starbucks was getting of my money when I
We
actually
call
went
it
through
$5, not Starbucks
$5
anymore,
now.
right?
Where did I hear it? Somebody
Yeah,
else?
it's not Starbucks, it's $5 minimum.
$5. Oh my gosh. I love that. So you think about, friends, I mean, this is going to be like a painful exercise for some of you, but this is one of the first things that we encourage you to do. Friends, if you want to get, closer to the impact that you are called to be making, actually create and know where your money's going. You get to be very intimate with that. And this might be, okay, no worries, Mel. Mel, I know that you're going to be, you've generously offered some of your time as being part of this community and this workshop series. Tell us about what you're offering and what you're sharing with our guests.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a clarity, clearing the clutter clarity session with me, really just getting clear about what is in your way of truly living God's purpose in your life. Like, what's the real clutter that's stopping you? Yeah, we can talk about the physical clutter if you have that. We can address the symptoms too. But if you really want to get to the root and you want to have the lasting change and you want to step into God's plan for your life, let's have a conversation. Let's get clear about what's really in the way and have a conversation so that you can step in and fully embody God's purpose for your life.
I love it. Mel, will you be sure and put the link in the chat before
Oh gosh,
you leave?
I thought I gave it to you already.
I'll find it if you not.
Okay, I
We'll
didn't bring
find
it with me. Sorry, I can
No
dig it.
worries.
I did not bring it.
Well, and let's talk about, when do I get to see you next? Are you going to be at Secret Knock?
Of course. Greg is
Okay, cool.
putting me on the stage this year.
Oh, I love it. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Oh, it's so fun. Okay, friends. Well, Mel, thank you so much, my dear, for joining us. Love you, love you.
So
See
good
you in
to
a
see
few
you.
weeks.
Love you, Donis. Good to see you, my friend. All right, see you. Thank you so much. Love you.
Bye, honey.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
So, anyone else very inspired by her 30-day, holy cow, fast? Oh my gosh, I seriously do not believe that I don't think God's calling me to do that just yet. I think I get to start with a one day fast. So friends, we're getting towards the tail end of our time together today. And, I want to share with you a little bit more about why I'm so excited about affiliate partnerships. Okay. Mel's a great example. She and I became friends, as you know, many years ago. I have affiliate partnerships with Mel. I have affiliate partnerships with Greg. I believe the reason I love affiliate marketing so much. Has anyone, by the way, I'm curious, for those of you that are on this call still with us today, how many of you are still in a job that you're working at? I'm curious. Raise of hands if you're still working in a job. Or are everyone entrepreneurs here? Berta, Berta, would you mind unmuting yourself for a minute and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now? And how did you come to us, by the way? Who invited you?
I've been on your list for
Oh, you have? Okay,
ever,
super.
I guess. I don't know. But I'm also in 100X, so maybe
you
I
are?
might be
Okay.
there. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm a part-time holistic veterinarian, and I'm doing options and a little bit affiliate here and there, but I would like to do more of
Okay.
that. So.
Okay. I love it. So you're doing all the things. And are you full-time in your entrepreneurial pursuit, or is your day job in the veterinary space? Is that what
It's
what you share?
part-time. Yeah.
Part-time. Okay.
So
Okay, cool.
it's good because I still like it.
Yeah,
Being part-time.
right.
Full-time, I wouldn't
Absolutely.
like it.
I hear ya. Well, and that's the thing. I think, thank you for sharing that. I think all of us, right? We all have a calling in our lives, right? It sounds like Berta's in a field that she actually likes. Berta, let me ask you to share again. Um, what are you, when you said yes to 100X, when you said yes to programs, like what have you been seeking?
Well, I found 100X way back when the pandemic started in his challenges. And
Mhm.
he always brings that up that he, he started in business to bring people to God. And that's kind of how I am, because I
Yeah.
want a better relationship, but I'm not, I've always, I've always been like, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I didn't know what that meant
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
Pedro kind of made it clear that, yeah,
Mhm.
that's how I am.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I was a victim of a Facebook ad with Pedro, and I remember like, who is this guy talking about the kingdom? And the more I learned about it, the more I realized there are so many people like us. There are so many people that have been a faithful follower. I don't remember a time in my life that I didn't know the name of Jesus. And yet I had never heard about the kingdom before. And I don't know about you, has anyone ever been in their workplace and felt like this is not in alignment with my ethical boundaries, my moral compass, what I feel is right. The treatment of people, perhaps, maybe some even practices in the marketplace that you're called to do. And yet, unfortunately, this world that we've become part of, yes, that was me, Sonia. I remember you sharing. Um, you know, the reality is there's a lot of freedom when it comes to building your own economy. Greg's example of his sweet boy, Colt is the sweetest boy. And I can tell you that boy would not be alive today had it not been for the connections and the resources that Greg has developed in his life, right? Um, I love that, Berta, that you're pursuing other ways to create your own economy. And I want to invite you all, friends, to consider what you are called to create. As we're wrapping up our time today together, I want you to look ahead at your life 12 months from now, right? And ask yourself, if everything remains the same today, right? If everything that remains the same today, am I okay with that? Is there a plan to change that if the answer is no? My question to you is what is our plan to change that? Okay. Now, there could be, you may be already in business for yourself. You might have a thriving business that is producing multiple, you have plenty of money at the end of the month, right? You might be in debt. You might be in a position where you're really struggling in debt. Friends, we want to support you. We want to walk along beside you and invite you to consider that there's a different path that you're supposed to be on, right? We have lots of resources in our community. And one of the things that I want to invite you to do is make sure that you schedule time with me if you haven't already. Okay. In our time together, I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I support people. One of my gifts that I absolutely lights me up is I love to help people explore actually what are they truly called to do? Who are they called to serve, right? Um, as a recruiter, I sat down with people many, many times and talked about, why did you actually pick what you're pursuing? And what do you guys think the main things are that made people choose their career? What do you think they are, out of curiosity? Anybody have any thoughts around that?
Just by chance.
That is the biggest reason I see. 90% of people accidentally landed in whatever they were called to do, right? 90% of people. Now, there's another great percentage that I work, for example, in technology. There's a lot of foreign nationals. There's a lot of people from Asia, different countries of Asia, that it's like you have no choice. You're either a doctor or an attorney or maybe an engineer, right, Dana? This is pretty common in your Filipino heritage, right? One of my dearest friends is Filipino. Girly is her name, and she's a very successful vice president of technology. And she would tell me, like, when you're in school, the B, if you got a B, it's like an Asian F. It's basically like the kiss of death with your parents. You know what I mean? Right. And yet, if I ask my sweet friend, does what she do light her up? The answer is always no, right? But you know what? It's also been a way for her to provide a great lifestyle for her family, right? She has the ability to travel because she makes good money, right? And yet, let me ask you, we are given one life, right? Are we really called? Is that really serving God to be in a role that we don't love, that doesn't highlight Him? Because I believe personally that we get to all start dreaming again. We all get to, God planted this heart, this desire in my heart to help others dream again. And let's face it, you can either spend less or you can make more. And I think it's so much more fun to make more, right? So friends, definitely, I want to invite you all to continue your journey with us. I'm going to highlight a couple of my partners right now. And I'm going to bring you to the stage, friends, and we're going to talk about like how we support our community. Okay. Is Lisa still here? I can't remember. Lisa might have had to jump off. You got to meet her earlier today though. But this is an example of our, some of my business partners, some of my dear friends that are in this community. We've collaborated together, right? And we all have different skills. We all have skills and abilities that we've brought together to actually serve people in a mighty way. So I'm first going to highlight Donis and just ask her to share a minute, because I will tell you, Donis actually contacted me on a networking website, Alignable, right? She reached out to me. She was a part of a networking group, a women's networking group, and she invited me to be part of it. And Donis, I actually met her shortly after I had lost my sweet mother, my mom, and Donis has become such a dear friend and partner, and we have so much fun together. And Donis, just give for a moment, what your experience was like when COVID hit, and then how you pivoted, a little bit about how you're serving people now.
Oh my gosh. My husband is a full-time entertainer. And so when COVID locked down our country, we watched 18 months of paychecks cancel one by one. And then when COVID was over, people were afraid to have venues again. So it really was it was very frightening. And that's in that period of time, that's where I met Lisa. In a sense, all our income eggs were in one basket. And I looked at Larry and said, we need to hire an agent to do what I do. I need to find another way, to make an income. And Lisa invited me to come on board with her in the financial services arena. And I did. And Lisa has been my mentor. I love her to death. And she has supported me, changed my life, helped me find me. And every day, she asked a question earlier about how do we serve or who do we serve? And, for this community, what I have done is I have grown me so that I can better serve others. And, it's a beautiful thing. And, gosh, and then here we are,
Yeah. Yeah.
5 years later on a beautiful journey together. And it's just been a pivot and regroup, and
Yeah.
always looking forward, and how can I grow into tomorrow and not hang on to what happened yesterday. So
Mhm. And I'll tell you what, Donis is one of our licensed financial professionals in our team. Friends, if you have never had a financial mentor in your life, why haven't you? My invitation is, doesn't it make sense that we all get to have mentors in our lives, right? I had actually two financial advisors that I worked with when I was in corporate America. I paid them a lot of money to advise me. They never taught me anything. And guess what? This woman that just shared a little bit about her story, she actually knows more than most financial advisors. And she's learned it in a very short span of time because you made a decision, Donis, right?
yes.
You had a mighty calling to also serve your fellow entertainers who
Mhm.
are vastly underserved in the financial world. Friends, all of us have a circle of influence. Some of our circles of influence are very small, right? Some of us, maybe we don't get out very often, or we're shy, or maybe we work at home and we don't get out and see people. Quite frankly, I'm excited to get out in the world again. It's been so nice the last couple of years, like having been kind of cooped up. Some of us, sometimes I meet people and, they're like, Lisa, I have a calling. I know I'm called, but I don't even know how to practically talk to people. Some people don't like people, right? But let's face it, in today's economy, in the digital marketplace, there is no excuse not to make money. There's so many opportunities available to you. So it's one of the things I love to do is help people really discover who are they called to serve. How can they create their own economies in their lives, right? Donis is just like, she's an example. And by the way, what we're sharing with you today is an offer that we have crafted together, all of us, right? It's called our Business Launch Accelerator program. And it's really designed for those of you that you either already have a business, you already are pursuing multiple things, and yet for whatever reason the dollars have not followed, right? There are so many hundreds of thousands of dollars, my friends, that I personally spent in my entrepreneurial journey. um, I I actually cringe now when I think about what I've spent over the years. I literally, I'm going to share a slide with you for a minute. Um, and this is actually a sample of what I've spent. Okay. Um, some of the things that I invested in. I mentioned that first summit training I did. I had multiple masterminds that I've been part of. I've had countless workshops that I've attended. I've bought $1,000 packages, $7,500 packages, $3,000 packages. Has anyone else maybe bought things before when they really didn't need them, for example? Or maybe, for example, you bought something and then you actually bought another thing that did the exact same thing because you thought the first solution didn't work, right? My friends, I mean, I'm embarrassed when I look back. At the same time, my friends, I actually had the money to do this. I took money out of my retirement accounts. I really believe the entrepreneurial world is like going back to school, right? And I believe in mentorship. I believe in the power of leverage. And I know that if you're in a place where you have ideas, you have maybe even a business pursuing, but you just need some additional support with actually accelerating that business, that launch, we want to invite you to be part of our community. Say yes to yourself. Our business launch mentorship program, you can go to my website right now, Lisa Williams Co. It's normally $2,447. Where did this price come from, Lisa? Well, it was because actually that was the price of the very first package that I bought, my very first entrepreneurial journey. I had to pick a number. The start of this year, God called me. He said, Lisa, you are called to serve in a mighty way, and you're going to give a drastic discount to people on your program. So for this workshop, we're actually taking $2,000 off the workshop, the Business Accelerator Launch Program. We're going to put that information in the chat for you. If you are feeling called, friends, that you want to accelerate your business, if you want to have a team, a community of people supporting you in this journey, we want to be that resource for you. Let's talk a little bit about what this entails. So first, what it's going to include is it's going to include 3 personal sessions with me. Now, some of you, this might depend on what you're pursuing, where you're at in your business. I'm actually working with a woman right now that is coming from corporate America. She's actually a dentist. She's pursuing a very aggressive role in her practice. She doesn't have a lot of time, so we've segmented our time in 30-minute sessions, and we're meeting more often, and we're taking it slow and sure, and we're taking really apart what she's already got on her plate and what is going to make the biggest impact for her to take those needle moving activities. Now, we have in that session, what we do together is we actually help you discover your unique path aligned with your talents and background. We have you take a motivational assessment. Did you know, for example, that there is truly a motivational design that God imagined when He created you to help you improve relationships and learn, why some maybe traditional personality tests, they actually fall short. We're actually going to also talk about, is there any approval addiction that you personally need to break through? Overcoming that need for validation and really helping you step into what I call your God-given confidence. We're also going to talk a lot about limiting beliefs. And I'm also going to give you some very tactical, practical skills when it comes to building a business. I have made millions and millions of dollars on LinkedIn personally. And I have a very personalized LinkedIn strategy that I use. And I absolutely love to help people create their perfect profile and actually attract their ideal clients on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very different than Facebook. LinkedIn is people are there to do business together. They are there to build their own economy. Now, sometimes it's a career economy in corporate America. But oftentimes it is actually a business building economy, right? So I love to help people swim in what I call the blue ocean of LinkedIn versus the red ocean of Facebook, right? There's a lot of sharks in the water when it comes to Facebook. What it's also going to include is personalized sessions with our financial team. I'm a licensed professional. Donis is a licensed professional. Dana and Lorena are also licensed professionals. And so we really work as a community. Now, when it comes to your financial roadmap, friends, by the way, I encourage you to take advantage of, all of you. You all have a complimentary session with our financial team. My husband is asking me if I want a chicken tender. Should I say yes? I think I want one. Yes, I will have one. He's coming to my office. So friends, regardless of whether today is the right time for you to step into our Business Launch Accelerator program, I want to encourage you to make sure you get time with us to talk about your own kingdom economy. And I put my personal link in the chat. You all get a free session with me for just taking part in this workshop today. There's a couple other things that our program includes. I'm going to highlight my friend Lorena for a minute, because again, I met Lorena. It's just a perfect example of how God combines people and resources and talents. I know what I am good at. I know that my superpower is that I believe I can never have enough friends. I believe everyone should be my friend. In fact, I can't wait to force you all to be my friend for life. And I believe personally that everyone likes me. I truly, in high school, I remember there was this girl in high school and she did not like me. And I never understood why. I thought everyone's supposed to like me because that's what my mom taught me, right? Lorena, when I met also Lorena through Shanda Sumter. We probably owe some referrals to Shanda. I shout her name out so much, don't I, Lorena? And this woman, I will tell you, she, as part of our package, she is going to help you truly with healing, my friends. We call it, Lorena, we call it an emotional clarity session, right? But what I want to tell you personally is about a road trip that I took with Lorena. And I have invested, my friends, thousands and thousands of dollars on therapy and inner healing and, counselors, right? I believe in the power of healing from within. And when I first came in contact with 100X, I had never been exposed to inner healing before with the Holy Spirit. And was that new to anyone else, by the way? And I had some sessions with some of the inner healers. And then Lorena and I had a chance to go on a road trip together. She actually came with me to Secret Knock last year. Was it just last year, Lorena, that we did that? Yeah. Okay. So on this road trip, I asked her, I said, okay, I kind of think I know what you do, but I don't really know what you do. So can we have a session? And I just want to tell you, friends, in that one session, I was healed. I literally was delivered of something I didn't even know that I was holding on to, right? So Lorena, if you could just share for a minute, what this session, entails and what to expect, when they schedule their time with you.
Absolutely. Can you hear me well enough?
Yep.
Excellent. Well, emotional clarity session, we chose that title because even though there is healing happening, we focus on the emotional side of who you are. So among all these topics that were discussed today, all the things you learned, I heard Mel talking about what gets in the way of getting closer to God. And we also talked about the ways that get in the way from money, from the results you're looking for, from switching careers, choosing your path, etc. So guess what that is your emotional side, your emotions. And sometimes we think we know, but sometimes we might realize that we don't. So what we do in the session is to go deeper, just by conversation, simple questions, and you go as deep as you want to go. I believe that Lisa had healing or experienced the healing because she was ready to look a little bit farther, a little bit towards the inside, not just what's on paper or we get to journal. Truly, you close your eyes and you dig deeper and find what's holding you back, what's cluttering your view. And yes, if you are up for it, we do invite the Holy Spirit too.
Yes, absolutely. I swear I and I've invested so much in different programs before, and I still marvel at just that one session with you. Truly, when you partner with the Holy Spirit, what ends up happening. So thank you, my friend. That's just another glimpse of one of the gifts that you get when you embark on this Business Accelerator Launch Program with us. I'm going to highlight now my friend Dana, because I don't know about you. So friends, when I was in my entrepreneurial journey, I mean my corporate journey, there was literally I was part of a massive billion-dollar company. We had this massive tech support team. And there I knew these guys by name because I had every technical issue that possibly could come up. I was like this is like a Lisa bug, right? There was always something. These guys knew me by name, right? And so when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I was a bit overwhelmed by all the tech things, all the things that you really should have as a business owner, running your own business from home, right? So Dana is absolutely brilliant. Not only is she just an incredible woman of faith, but she has mad skills when it comes to technology. And Dana, your session with those of us that say yes to this program is what we're calling a techpreneur session. So tell us a little bit about what that includes.
Okay. So, hi everybody. The session will just include basically a Q&A of where you're at with regards to your tech challenges, because everybody's in different places. Some people have been in their entrepreneurial journey a little bit further, and then they understand how certain technologies work. And some people that is it's a stopping point. They don't know how to move forward because it's just overwhelming between social media, AI, even just to kind of like how you get your marketing started. Like, what are the tools out there? How much should I spend? There's so much and it's overwhelming. So that's kind of like the Q&A session first. And then, like your startup list. It's different when you're an entrepreneur versus working for corporate America. Corporate America, you call the help desk, they ask you questions, they share the screen, and then they fix your problem, and then you move forward. When you're an entrepreneur, you're everything. You're the boss, you're the CEO, the CFO, your tech support, your admin assistant, what I mean? You're doing pretty much everything. So there's a startup list, and you need to kind of find out like what would work for you at low cost or even free solutions. And the other thing that Lisa, when we had our session after the last 100X conference, we just had a mini Chat GPT 101. So again, it's just getting familiar with AI, and Chat GPT is kind of like your gateway. There's so many different AI solutions out there, but Chat GPT, it's initially for free. They do have like a subscription if you want to explore more, but on how to use it. There's different ways on how you can craft your prompt and how Chat GPT, you can talk to it and it'll craft up your results for you in a text format that you can import. I mean, it's amazing, but it can make your life simpler by just speeding up certain creative solutions when you get stuck. And you just ask it, and then you know what? It'll open and unlock a couple of things for you. So that's what to expect from the session.
It's so amazing. I just, many of the ladies that are on this call, we actually were all there in the room together. And it was so fun watching, like Dawn, for example, she's not here today, but we had ChatGPT actually tell us, we put in, some things that we wanted to accomplish, and it created a schedule for us of how to accomplish it. It's just unbelievable, the things that technology, when we leverage, again, this word keeps popping up, doesn't it, ladies? Leverage, the word of leverage. We are so much better when we leverage the skills and abilities and systems of others, right? And so, friends, again, today's been really about, for some of you, you're just getting to know us. right? For some of you, you've been around for a while. Those of you that are watching, hashtag replay, we're just so excited that you blessed us with your time today. Again, if you are feeling called to have some acceleration, some done with you, aspect of your business, I want to invite you to take advantage of our highly discounted program. And I promise you, friends, if money is tight right now, I want to invite you to schedule a call with me. We will make it work, my friends. Okay, we will make it work. I've been known to give scholarships to people if you give me a good case study of your willingness to put the work in, my friends. But at the same time, Greg is right. You pay attention to what you paid for, right? So if you're in a place where you have a great idea, you have great options in hand, you just need somebody to walk along beside you and have a community that supports you. We want to invite you to take advantage of this program with us. And then also, friends, continue your journey with us, okay? I want to just let you know that this series is something that God told me I get to do every month this year. We already have some incredible speakers lined up. If you enjoyed, the time that you had with learning from my dear friend Greg, this is just an example of, what we actually are going to be continuing to do in our community. I have the great Sharon Lecter that's going to be joining us in a couple of months. Sharon Lecter is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. She's my money mama. We're going to continue learning about the industry of personal development and why affiliations in this space, friends, this is a booming industry. This is anticipated to grow to 67 billion by 2030. We're going to be talking more and more about why the coaching industry, these are all examples of affiliate programs that I'm part of. And that's what we do in our session together is, discover what really aligns with you and how can you build an affiliate business. How about the crypto space? Did anyone know that you can be an affiliate in the crypto space? You absolutely can. In fact, I will tell you, it is not too late to be part of the crypto movement. The price of crypto is expected to go up to 230,000 per Bitcoin by the year 2030. I'm going to give you another free gift today. This is a great resource, by the way, if you're interested in opening a Bitcoin account. This is another example of affiliate marketing. Swan Force is a company that I personally work with. I have much of my cryptocurrency with Swan, and they'll give you $10 of free Bitcoin if you want to open your own account. I have a very personal story when it comes to the cryptocurrency market. My sweet father, 82 years old, lost my mother a couple of years ago, the heart of his world, and started seeking companionship, right? And he got caught in a crypto scam and lost $300,000 of his very hard-earned retirement funds, that he and my mother had worked decades for, right? I have a very personal mission when it comes to raising the financial IQ of women around cryptocurrency. And we've gone to great lengths to find resources and tools that are available to you guys that are as safe as they can be. Let's face it, if you're investing anywhere, friends, there is some risk involved, right? If you have a 401k, if you have a stock portfolio, if you're invested in real estate, there's always going to be some risk, right? But there are things that you can do, research that you can do, resources that you can do to ensure that there is some safety. Yep. Yes, and our next Zoom is for the Reimagine the American Dream is coming up on March 11th. And we want to invite you, friends, if you found value in our time together today, this is an example of what you can be part of. We invite all of you to continue to join us. We have complimentary workshops that take place all throughout the month. And we invite you to, in our next workshop, bring a friend, right? It's one of my favorite things that I did last year is I paid over $30,000 to my affiliate partners, people that were just sharing the good news of our workshops, right? It brings me such joy to help other women create their own economy. So I invite you, friends, if you are thinking, you know what, the way that I'm working right now with my own personal kingdom wealth building, it needs some tweaking, right? I want to invite you to continue this journey with us. So, as we're wrapping up today, friends, if you don't have a plan to change, what the next 12 months looks like in your financial journey, I challenge you, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Now there's some free gifts that you also got as part of today's challenge. I want to make sure you look in your inbox. We will be sending out the links for our top 10 tips for making money now. We also send out the link for the Millionaire Mentor, the free book that Greg mentioned, and the clarity session with Mel. So if today isn't the day that you decide to hire yourself officially with one of our programs, make sure that you at least take advantage of the complimentary sessions that are available to you, friends. So as we're wrapping up, I love to give prizes. That's one of my favorite things that we get to do. And for those of you that are still on the call, you have to be present to win. We did decide, right, Donis? But for those of you that are still on the call, I'm going to have Donis share your screen, my dear, and let's pick our winners for today. Donis has many skills that she is working with behind the scenes. And Miss Berta, you are our first winner, my dear. You'll be getting a $25 Amazon gift card. So be sure you put your email and your phone number in the chat, Berta, so we can make sure and it comes to you electronically. So make sure and put that in the chat for us if you would. 3 more winners. It looks like all 3 of our friends. Some of you are not on the list because you're my business partners. You don't get to be part of the prizes, friends. But let's see.
I don't think my name is on the list.
Oh, Barb's name is not on. Oh, Donis, we need to add Sonia and Barb too. Who else do we not have on there? What about okay, Latoya's on there. Let's see, who else do we have? Let's see. Okay, I think we got everybody. I think other people have dropped off. Okay, let's see who's the next winner. Winner, chicken dinner. Does anyone else love Vegas and the craps table? And there she is. Barb, you are such a lucky winner. You win every time, my dear.
No, no. First time.
Okay, so far we have Berta and Barb. Let's see who our last 2 winners are. Miss Sharon. Is that the Sharon I think it is? Is that Sharon King? Sharon, make sure you put your information in the chat if that's you, honey. I think that's you. And who's our last winner? Sharon's at work. She's a great example of someone that perseveres. She's handling multiple roles right now in corporate America. And Bijan, is that how you say it, Bijan? You are a lucky winner.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Make sure you put your contact details in the chat so we can send those gift cards to you guys. So friends, as we are wrapping up today, it is absolutely my blessing to have spent this couple of hours with you. I want you to remember, my friends, that you are God's very, 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 very best idea. His plan is one of abundance and prosperity for you. It doesn't mean that we aren't going to face challenging times, right? I heard a pastor say recently, someone asked him, it's probably the question that pastors get asked the most. Why do bad things happen to good people? And the answer he gave was the best answer that I've heard. and the many times I've heard this, and he said, bad things happen to all people. It's the human experience. It's part of the human experience, right? And it doesn't mean that God can't use those bad things. So friends, wherever you are at, I am so blessed to be part of your world. Our new friends, welcome. Be sure you come and join us again. Again, be sure if we haven't met personally, Berta, Latoya, who's else on the call? Bejan, make sure you schedule time with me. I would love to get to know you more personally and how I can support you. We put my calendar details in the chat, and I'll put that in there one more time. And friends, happy Tuesday to you. Blessings the rest of this week. We hope to get to see you very, very soon. And if not personally, let's make sure you join us next month. Blessings, everybody, in this amazing life journey. We'll see you soon.
Bye.